Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your TWitWoW monthly Q&A for October of 2020. It is our 52nd Q&A, which means that if we had been doing these weekly instead of monthly, this would be our 1 year anniversary. But alas, we've been doing it monthly, so that's actually like 4.5 or 4.33 years. So, we've been doing it for a long ass time. That's fucking crazy to me. I can't believe we've done that many already. That's just insane. But this might maybe be the first time ever that our number of questions is fewer than the number of overall Q&As that we've done at the time of doing the Q&A. Because I feel like the last few that we've had that might have been in that range, we've been in the 50s and 60s. This time, though, we are on monthly TWitWoW, the Q&A number 52, and we only have 43 questions. There were a few people that might have otherwise asked questions that didn't this month. Especially, I know there are a few people that asked last month that definitely didn't this month. And yeah, we got like one person that doesn't usually ask questions that did this month, and actually two people that don't usually that did this month. But I guess the exchange just worked out, though. We ended up with fewer questions, so we only have 43. John, how you feeling, man?
Oh, brother, well, I mean, first of all, I'm feeling stuffed full of amazing food, but when it comes to this Q&A, I mean, we're all about quality over quantity here. So even though it is a lower set of questions, qualitatively, I'm sure they'll shine through. Let's dive right into it, man. Let's get it over with.
Well, the first question is from James for you. Why are you so amazing, bro?
Bro, first of all, look in the fucking mirror, first of all, if you want to know what amazing actually looks like. And second of all, I don't know. I mean, probably my biggest deficit's my receding hairline, but God, do I make up for it with a shimmering personality. And, yeah, I just think I'm talented, hardworking, and I definitely get by on my, stunning good looks. So I think that's a sufficient answer to that question. We can move on to the next one.
All right, next set of questions from Hypothesis. First up, who would be on your Mount Rushmore for the Raw brand?
Looking at the current roster, this was asked before the draft, right? So can I answer with superstars before they were drafted?
I think it's more of like an all-time Raw.
Oh, all-time Raw? Shawn Michaels, I think.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels, I think, would have to be on there. I think Shawn Michaels...
Mr. Monday Night, yeah.
Yeah, Shawn Michaels, to me, for Raw, was what Taker was for SmackDown for so many years. Batista was more of a SmackDown guy. Ultimately, John Cena, definitely. Cena, definitely.
Yep.
I'm going to say Edge, and then love him or hate him, Triple H. So, John Cena... Actually, no. John Cena, Randy Orton, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels. That's my four.
Wow. Okay. I feel like you have like a very Triple H centric kind of Mount Rushmore here. And you know what? That makes perfect sense because that's the era that you grew up with, right?
Yeah, definitely.
For me, though, I would say Vince McMahon or Mr. McMahon, the character Mr. McMahon. Stone Cold Steve Austin for sure. Edge. Absolutely has to be Edge. And yeah, I'll stick with Cena too. I'm skipping Triple H because he fucking killed the ratings, whereas Cena actually brought him back a little bit when he first started getting pushed.
And I even, why I swapped out Edge for Orton, I have nothing against Edge, but I even remember you saying that Orton actually popped ratings too, so yeah, I'll keep him
Well,
too.
You know what, dude? Yeah, that's true. Orton did, but not to the degree that Edge did.
Oh, fair enough.
Edge is like the number one top biggest drawing performer of the 21st century in WWE.
Yeah, that's wild, man.
Yeah,
that's wild.
like if you look at like the all-time kind of charts, he's not as high up there as like Austin, Hogan, Rock, but he's above Hart and Michaels in the draw category.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
And there's even an argument you can make that he's above Cena too, but we'll get into that another time. So then second question from Hypothesis is the exact other opposite. It's who would be on your Mount Rushmore for the SmackDown brand? Can I go first?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so I would say The Rock, Batista, Rey Mysterio are like the big three for me. And for my fourth, I'm going to say Brock. Did I already say Brock, actually?
No.
I didn't. So yeah, Brock. So yeah, Rock, Mysterio, Lesnar, and Batista.
Taker, Guerrero, Batista, I'll agree with Batista. And you know what? Yeah, I'll go with Rock too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't have The Rock not be on the Hall of Fame or in the Mount Rushmore of the brand that was made off of him. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
he was the one that says SmackDown. Anyway, hypothesis third and final question is: do you think AEW dropped the ball by not having MJF win the world title at All Out?
I personally do. You know, he's one of the few people that I'm actually keeping tabs on in AEW with this whole Chris Jericho, may I join the Inner Circle storyline. And I'm sure it'll be fine for him. But, like, AEW, I worry, man, that there's some trappings of, like, dire straits Impact Wrestling, where it's like they don't want to build young guys. They care more about the ratings pop by having familiar people. Now, maybe for the first calendar year, I'd get it. But sooner or later, you know, you got to take risks. You've got to really distinguish yourself from the competition. And I love Moxley. It's nothing against him as a worker, though I prefer him in New Japan. I just think, you know, you got to start building your own homegrown talent. I know there are other ways to build people than giving them the strap. You know, I get that. But I really feel like it would have been a great moment for him to go over. They didn't do it. I disagree with it. Business as usual. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, and this is one of those rare takes that you and I are coming down on completely opposite ends of the spectrum on, because I know you're a huge MJF fan. I know you love him. But I have just completely fallen out of love with MJF. I liked him for a while. I was getting really into him. And, like, the last few months, I have just completely, like, it's not even like I stopped caring about him. It's that I've gotten to the point that I actively think he sucks, personally.
Yeah, and that's totally fine, man.
And frankly, you know, he's young, and I feel like he's kind of in that, to me, he's in that, like, 2009 Miz phase where he's trying so fucking hard to be unlikable that he just comes off as too try hard, and he just comes off as a fucking dork to me.
Okay.
And that's kind of how I felt about The Miz back in 2009. So realistically, he's absolutely somebody that could win me over again for sure. But as of right now, I definitely think that keeping the title on Moxley was the right decision. I think the bigger mistake was not sending Kenny Omega after him immediately after MJF failed to capture the title. To me, that is right there. You strike the fucking iron while it's hot. Kenny Omega had just lost the tag titles. Kenny Omega went against Moxley in that unsanctioned the lights out match last year at the same pay-per-view that we're building towards here, Full Gear. And they're just like, no, we're going to wait even longer. Like, it feels very ROH to me with how long they're waiting to pull the trigger on Omega. And I think that that's going to cost them in the long run, but I'm sure that when they do eventually get around to pushing Omega, it really just becomes a question then of, do people even care anymore? Do people still care about this guy that you're about a year and a half or 2 years too late to push? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's totally understandable. Absolutely.
All right. Next set of questions are from Super Blue. First up, what are your preview and predictions for the 2020 election?
I think I haven't really been keeping up with the polls, to be perfectly honest. I will stick with that. I could see Biden ultimately winning the election. I will say that. I know I've been saying for a long time Trump was going to be a two-term president, but to be fair, I don't think anybody saw a pandemic coming.
Yeah.
And
realistically, the pandemic could very well be like the literal only reason why Trump loses.
That's honestly what I would think, dude. Because I honestly think that if there wasn't a pandemic and people didn't notice like a drastic shift in their social life, they would go on as normal. If they went on as normal with Bush when we were in the Iraq War, I have no doubt that he would have been a two-term president, just my opinion. Obviously, I'm not a political scientist or anything like that. So I do think Biden will win, and it may even be a landslide. I mean, because that is what I've been hearing, is that he's been dominant. You can ask Ashton. I'm very tentative when we have those kinds of discussions, he and I, because I don't believe it's over until it's over. I think 2016 was a humbling experience for all of us, or it should have been. I
feel like every day that goes by, the polls are trending more and more towards Biden, which is the exact opposite of what happened in 2016. Because in 2016, like a month out, it was like, okay, Hillary's got this in the bag. They fucking gave her a layup. And as you crept closer and closer to election day, it was like, oh my God, is Trump actually going to like, because it was like Trump was just creeping closer and closer. The polls were getting closer and closer. But now, dude, literally last week, 538 had Biden at an 87% chance to win and Trump at an 11 or a 13% chance to win. Then over the weekend, I checked it again and they still had Biden at 87, but they had Trump at 12. So there was like a little bit of like a margin of error there. I just looked. Biden's at 89 to Trump's 11. Like, it is widening. It blows my mind how much of a landslide this could potentially be. I think the most realistic, most likely outcome is a close win for Biden. But if there are any kind of polling errors either way, it's like I feel like a minor, like slight Trump win is just as likely as a Biden landslide at this point.
Just to keep it succinct, because to be perfectly frank, like I don't want to get like in the nitty gritty of a discussion like this. I think when there are more important things to talk about, but I guess the one thing that concerns me, again, I do think Biden will win. I'm not trying to say this to be like, oh, Trump still got it. I think the one thing that concerns me that I think was a similar phenomenon in 2016 is how many people exercise their political speech in the ballot box.
Yeah.
And I think I've even seen studies about like a lot of people that just either wouldn't disclose or were allegedly undecided. And I think it's, you look at the climate, right? I mean, and that is one thing that I have to give Joe credit for, because I don't think I've ever heard him on the campaign trail openly call a Trump supporters anything like basket of deplorables like Hillary did in 2016. So I think a lot of people, knowing the general sentiment towards Trump and Trump voters, may be keeping silent about where their politics are. Now, is that silent, as the phrase goes with Nixon, right, in the Vietnam War, is it a silent majority or is it a silent minority? We'll see, but I still think Biden's going to win. I just want to put that out there because that really, beyond polls and this and that, that's one of my more concrete fears is I do believe a lot of people, again, exercise that political speech in the ballot box. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, I think just going by what we have from a data perspective, it looks very much like it's going to be a blue sweep. It looks very much like Biden is going to, we just talked about Biden is going to win 89 out of 100 times. The Democrats are going to win the Senate 77 out of 100 times, and the House is going to maintain its position, the blue House 98 out of 100 times. So it looks very, very likely that January 2021 will see a fully blue, executive and, congressional branch of the government, even if we will still have a red Supreme Court, thanks to.
I mean, dude, last time I checked, because I did read an article, I think just yesterday, so I wasn't exactly lying when I said I haven't kept up with the polls, but I have been more on, I guess, with general political articles. Texas may go blue this year. They classified Texas as a toss-up.
I did see that. They went from lean red to toss-up. I saw that. It blew my mind. I saw, Georgia might even be. Dude, it looks like Georgia and Texas are more likely to vote blue this year than Florida.
That's wild, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see it. Let me tell you something. If Texas actually goes blue for the first time in my lifetime, because any election I've been privy to in my lifetime, Texas has always been a red state. If they go blue, that's how much they fucked they fucked up on this one. Now, I don't know if they'll go blue in the sense that Ted Cruz loses his Senate seat, because I know Beto O'Rourke I think he came close the one time he challenged Cruz. It wasn't enough. I think
he ended up losing by 2 points against Cruz, but that's what the polls said would happen. Like been saying, like Cruz is going to win by a small victory, but he's still going to win.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I almost wish, again, speaking optics, because anybody that knows my politics right now knows that I shouldn't give a single fuck about like any of these people. But just from an optics standpoint, I wish Beto would have been continuing grinding on the Senate, because I feel like he could have beaten Cruz in a later year. And instead he's like, oh, I can be president now. And I think he really shot himself in the foot there. So I don't know if Cruz is going to be meaningfully challenged, but I do think when it comes to Biden-Trump, Biden could win Texas. I think that's entirely possible. So I don't know. I think we had a nice discussion about this. I've got nothing more to say without being redundant, so I think we can move on if you've got anything else you want to say.
No, we can move on. Second question from Super Blue. Should WWE just combine the two tag titles, the men's tag titles at Survivor Series, and give them sort of the same brand hopping power that the women's tag titles have?
I'll go one step further. I've been a believer for a while that, it's complicated because we do like hard brand splits, but I wouldn't mind if you merge the mid-card titles and the tag titles, and then those champions only could brand hop.
Would you be okay with them doing that the women's title too, or do you want two separate women's divisions?
I honestly do want two separate women's divisions, but mid-card and tag titles, I'd be fine, especially tag titles since that's what was asked. I'd see no problem with one set of tag titles that you brand hop, because you already do the same thing with the women's tag titles, so why not the men's? So you already have a precedent with the women's, and they'd actually try harder for the men's. I hate to say it, but I think everybody can agree with me on that. So why not?
Yeah, I don't even know if that's true though, because I feel like the guys that would be holding, like, there is no revival anymore. There is no tag team in WWE, men's tag team in WWE that would really go to bat and be like, we're the tag team champions. We want to be featured as a tag team. Please, like, let us be, a dominant tag team. Let us have tag team matches and that kind of stuff. I don't really feel like there's really any teams left in the WWE that would really go to bat like that for tag team wrestling the way the revival would have. But you know very well Sasha and Bailey did for the women's.
Yeah. Yeah, you could be right about that, man. I won't really contend that. I do just think, though, I'm honestly surprised that they haven't done it already, to be perfectly truthful. But yeah, I would not be opposed to it whatsoever. So.
All right. Third question from Super Blue. If the was it a mistake to move NXT to television? And kind of added on to that, should NXT be added to Survivor Series?
NXT should absolutely have been added to Survivor Series. I was telling Ash.
He did say, like, along with his question, he had like a little snide comment here as well. I don't really see the point in them adding NXT to Survivor Series without some kind of stakes on the line.
I mean, okay, well, first of all, with all due respect, like, we say that every year, and it's never happened. So, like, obviously there should be stakes.
Yeah.
But I'm not even going to entertain that because there won't be. There just has to be.
Dude, I would love it if WWE, just two little tiny shifts that they could make. Just one shift, I already mentioned this. Put your draft in April after WrestleMania again. It just makes sense to give the rosters those, 6.5 months to actually, like, bond and have reason to fight for their brand rather than doing it 3 weeks before Survivor Series when they're fighting for a brand that they've only been on for a month. And then the other thing to me, if they would just announce that the winning team would get some kind of something, if you want to say they would get the first pick at Royal Rumble, so, if they would want to say, like, we could even do like the old school way and say each member of the winning team gets to choose an opponent and a stip or something like that. And then you could have, like, oh, well, this guy wants to win the US title. This guy wants to team up with his partner to win the tag titles. This girl wants to go after, like, like, there are all kinds of different ways that you could go about it. Even if, you could relate it to the Royal Rumble. You could even say the winning team gets the first draft pick next year, or the winning team gets to, each person in the winning team gets to get GM powers temporarily, and they get to make one singular trade, and somebody on the other brand has to at least agree to it somewhat. And like that, I don't know. I feel like there are so many creative ways that they could go about the Survivor Series thing, and they're just like, no, we're just nothing. It's just the brand pride, even though they've only been on that brand for a month. It's so silly.
I completely agree with you about draft scheduling. Really, that's why it always, like, I know that WWE is television, so, like, a lot of season premieres will be in, like, September, October, but if I wanted a treat, and this is why I would do an off-season. I would do an off-season. WrestleMania would be our season finale. The same way Ultima Lucha is always, like, the final part of Ultima Lucha usually is the season finale. Come back, it's a season premiere. There's so much restructuring I would do, but working with what we have, and I'm trying to remember the question. Yes, there aren't any stakes. There aren't going to be because there's no precedent. But I do think, and I've said this to Ashton on recording, that NXT should be a part of it, or maybe not recording, but like playing Rock League or whatever. It looks so bad to me that a brand could come in their first year at Survivor Series, fucking dominate, and hand you your ass. And then instead of actually making that a story, right, you could have so easily made that a story. Now, maybe it would have been easier to make a story if you had figureheads for Raw and SmackDown. But maybe you could have had, like, Vince come out, I created Raw. I created SmackDown. NXT is a product of my bastard son-in-law. And I'm not going to be upstaged by him. They whooped our asses, like, whatever. I'm really trying to embolden Raw and SmackDown to come back this year. And Triple H could be all cocky. You could say, whatever. And you do it. But the idea that you're just keeping NXT out of the equation, like, so we're not just going to acknowledge that they owned you last year. You're just going to be like, well, the only way to get them back is to not have them participate so that we don't lose. It looks, I know they don't mean it to, and I know I'm way overthinking it. But, like, it just really looks petulant. Like, you're going to lock them out, and that's how you're going to get them back. I feel like it's a waste. I feel like you really could have. And really, I'll answer the other part of the question too. Was it a mistake for NXT to go to television? No, I won't go that far. I think they were always inevitably going to go to television. I think Triple H and that locker room in general had that desire, and especially when you have a locker room just stuffed with, I think, like well-known indie performers. I would say a mistake is not focusing enough on organic talent. Where the hell? And I can't believe I'm going to say this unironically. Where's Kona Reeves? Where the fuck, big time emphasis is Rick Boogs. Like, I still can't believe we haven't seen him compete. That I would say is a mistake. But when it comes to television, the only mistake in television is not promoting your television. And the idea that they're not going to bring NXT back as a promotional tool, and I can't even take credit for this because, Ashton, I think you actually said something to this effect. Knowing that they're on TV, knowing they're competing for ratings now, the ratings bump you'd get post Survivor Series might have actually had you beat AEW. The only mistake about going to television, like I said, is not being prepared to promote your television. And that's the mistake that they're making. That, and again, my gripes, because I'm an old timer about, where are the, fresh-faced up-and-comers to really build NXT, but that's a separate thing.
Dude, I actually just saw a message from Foster that I was thinking about. I've actually heard that there's a chance that NXT was excluded from Survivor Series this year because of the COVID breakouts that they've been having. It could be like a combination of like, A, we don't feel safe having you interact with our roster, but also B, like, get your shit together. This is punishment. You're not going to be on the main roster if you're not going to get your shit together and stop fucking throwing COVID parties, you morons.
And I can't defend that. And I think it would be fruitless and irrational to try and defend that. So I will concede that. And if that is the reason, I could understand it. If this was always the plan, which I fucking hope not, then I just stand by everything I said. So that'll preserve my answer. But I think that is a worthwhile objection. And yeah, I can totally understand that.
Yeah. So here's the interesting thing, man. As you obviously know, NXT's first 2 episodes ran unopposed. They were the only 2 episodes in NXT history that have been over 1 million, right?
Yes.
Do you know what the highest rated episode of NXT since then has been?
No.
And again, I should probably emphasize the, highest rated episode of NXT that ran against AEW, because I know that they pulled some higher ratings when they were on Tuesdays. But it was the November 20th episode last year. November 20th. And when was Survivor Series last year?
Well, let's see. If NXT's on a Wednesday, that would mean 17th?
No, it was the 24th, the next week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it was literally the go-home episode of NXT before Survivor Series. That was the highest rating that they pulled. And the next 5 weeks, bro, they were killing it. They beat AEW 3. They beat AEW 3 of the following 5 weeks and tied with them 1 of them. And the one time they lost to AEW, it was only by 6,000 viewers. So Survivor Series was the best thing that the WWE did for NXT's ratings last year. And the only thing that tanked the ratings was the recap episode on fucking New Year's Day. It killed the ratings and they never recovered after that, ever.
Oh, man, that's a shame.
Dude, their worst rating between Survivor Series and the ratings and the recap episode was 778,000 people watching. They didn't achieve that number again until February.
Wow.
And that was their worst. Like, even the second worst was 795, and they didn't hit that number again. I don't even know if they've hit that number since, other than the unopposed shows that they ran on Tuesdays.
Damn.
Yeah, they hit 810, 845, and 831, and they didn't do anything close to that at all this year so far. Again, unless it was unopposed. I don't actually remember what the ratings were on the unopposed shows, but still, like, it's mind-blowing to me that I don't know. I guess I shouldn't even say it's mind-blowing, because again, if it is a COVID thing, I do understand it, and I don't want to be like, no, you should do it anyway. But if it's anything other, if there's literally any other reason other than COVID for why they were kept off Survivor Series, it just blows my mind. So,
yeah, I'll pretty much copy paste what you said there. Next question.
Next question is actually there was another part to the Super Blue question. Was it a mistake to move NXT to TV?
Oh, I already said no to that, because I think the only mistake with TV is not promoting your TV. I absolutely don't think it was a mistake.
I must not have caught that while you were talking. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Yeah, I do agree, though. I think really, if there was any mistake, it was moving to 2 hours, not moving to TV.
Yeah.
Like I personally, and I know why they did it though. It's because they wanted to run a pose to Dynamite so that they could kill Dynamite's ratings as best as they can. Because they're not running NXT on TV because they want good ratings for NXT on TV. They're running it on TV to take viewers away from AEW. Because like we just saw it last month when AEW runs on a pose, they get damn close to. Or actually, I think they even hit 1 million viewers a couple times, didn't they?
I believe they did actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what NXT is trying to prevent is AEW hitting 1 million viewers. Anyway, though, Super Blue's fourth question, if The Rock comes back to face Roman Reigns, where should it take place and why? And he's saying, where should it take place in the context of, like, what pay-per-view should that happen at? He gave...
I mean, Mania or bust, right?
I was going to say, he gave options, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, or none. He said none of the above, a.k.a. let Big E and the roster deal with Roman and keep Dwayne in Hollywood.
I mean, obviously that'd be my ideal choice, but WWE doesn't work in ideals. I think if that match was on the table, they'd 100% take it. And I think if they're going to take it, they would absolutely do it at Mania, and I can't blame them for that. Honestly, I wish they would do matches like that. It's funny you mentioned SummerSlam. I would not mind SummerSlam being fed to platforming the part-timers, the guys that come back once a year for the paycheck. And then you free up Mania for the young upstarts. Honestly, that's how I would do it. Like, I could have my cake and eat it too. I would just save the stage, for the talents that I'm grooming to give them their big moment. But, yeah. I definitely think it'd be Mania if you want to get the most out of it, I guess. And was there another part to that question? Or was it just where would it take place?
Yeah.
Yeah, WrestleMania. That's all there is to it for me.
It's simple, right? Like,
yeah.
It's Dwayne. As far as this company's concerned, Dwayne is, like, the biggest star that they've made, even though, like, if we're just speaking if we're just speaking objectively, that's not even true. Or it's not even untrue, because he legitimately is, like, one of the biggest actors in Hollywood, and obviously he got to start with WWE. So that's, like, you can't even argue with that. And I was just more thinking, like, the biggest star in WWE's history, like, within the confines of the pro wrestling world is Hogan, then Austin, maybe Rock's a distant third, but if we're talking about overall career, like the most successful former wrestler is easily The Rock, easily Dwayne Johnson. So, Final question from Super Blue: have you ever thought about getting a gun for your home protection, or is that just not something that you really worry about?
I mean, we do, and I just sometimes even forget that we have them. But yeah, I mean, we do. That's always my thing. I'm not opposed to anybody doing it. I understand it. People are going to defend themselves however they see fit. If they want to do it, fine by me. I don't think you need a freaking machine gun,
Yeah, but I was just going to say, like, here's my thing. I am not against the Second Amendment, but I do think that the Second Amendment needs to be kept in check, just like John was about to say, because, handguns, pistols, revolvers, fine. If you feel safer with that in your house, I don't think it actually keeps you safer. Because from what I understand, you're actually more likely to shoot yourself or somebody in your own household with a gun that you keep in your house than a fucking intruder, just because it's so unlikely that ever happens. But yeah, like, we don't need fucking ARs out on the street. Seriously.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that's like the big thing is, like, get the fully automatic and semi-automatic weapons the fuck out of the streets. And, but again, though, like, that's... The fucking right is always going to make the argument, like, the well-armed militia to uprise against the government. And I'm just like, do you really think you have a fucking chance? If the government wanted to bomb us, we're not going to beat them with AKs or ARs. Like, if the government decided, this particular town is just a little bit too anarchist for my liking, we need to take them off the map, a drone strike isn't going to get stopped by a bunch of fucking rednecks with AR-15s.
Yeah, that's all I'm gonna really say is I do agree with you there about just the pragmatics of that whole kind of line of reasoning.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Next question. You're really tippy-toeing on this one. Am I saying, like, really controversial?
No. I prefer not to get into it because, for me, I don't want to talk about gun control until we talk about regulating the guns of the domestic terrorists known as the police and the military.
Gotcha.
That's
That makes sense.
really what that's really what I care about. Don't talk to me about regulating guns until you're regulating guns of our own terrorist force. Really, force is, because the military scum too.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. Yeah. Well, you know what? Speaking of military and the right in general, Mets is our next set of questions. His first being, will Best of the Super Juniors only feature one super block this year, like the last couple of years worth of the tag league? They basically put every participant into one big block where the top two, is after everyone's faced each other. The people with the most points, the top two, will face each other in the finals.
How do you feel about that? I'll let you go first on this one.
Well, we're gonna find out here in like 5 days or something like that, 4 days or something. 4 days. So I'm looking forward to finding out for sure. I don't know. That seems like a very distinct possibility though, because if they do 2 blocks, I feel like it would have to be like anywhere from 12 to 14 people. So you would have blocks of 6 or 7. And I feel like in that case, you would, well, they probably wouldn't do 14 actually. So it would either be 12 or 16 really. Because if you do 14, then someone's getting left out. Someone's not going to be able to participate in their block match that day. But yeah, the idea that you could do like that same number of people, but just do it in one big block, that does make sense to me. Yeah, I'm just gonna say yeah. I think that they will go that route. Not that I want it to happen. I would prefer them to kind of maintain the 2 block format, but I could definitely see that happening for sure.
Yeah, I think I can see where you're coming from. I'm inclined to agree with you as well. Again, like you said, we're gonna find out.
Low key, I can see them stealing from Stardom and having 2 like 7-man blocks, but rather than facing everyone in your own block, you face everyone in the opposite block. So that way, each person would have 7 matches, rather than 6, and you could get up to 14 points if you win everything. I think that's more likely, or not more likely, but I think that's just as likely as the one big super block thing.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good idea, honestly. I wouldn't be opposed to that, but I think you said it best. We're going to find out in just a few days, so there's not really any purpose to get like too speculative on it, since there are concerns are going to be addressed, most immediately. So we'll see how they play with it. We'll see how it happens.
Second question from Mets. When is Okada going to pull his head out of his ass and realize that no one wants to see the money clip? Where is the Rainmaker?
It's coming at Wrestle Kingdom, probably, maybe. I don't know.
Probably, maybe. I don't know, man. At this point, what is Okada's probably going to just be like facing fucking Will Ospreay in like a grudge match at Wrestle Kingdom. I don't even know if it's worth pulling out the Rainmaker for that. That might be where we get the ripcord money clip.
Yeah, oh my god, that'd be amazing. You know what's funny is I could see Okada going for it, but Ospreay catching him in a Spanish fly kind of spot.
Yeah.
And then he just doesn't go for it for the rest of the match. So then you get the heat on Ospreay, right? Because like you're finally about to get the Rainmaker, but he still had it scouted and he took it from you.
Yes, yeah. That's perfect. I love it.
Yeah, that's probably exactly what's gonna happen. He'll be the fucking heel to get the heat to be like, oh, you were finally expecting to see Wrestle Kingdom after all these months at the Tokyo Dome. Yeah, fuck off. And then he just walks off. So
I love it. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's my prediction.
Yes. All right. Third and final question from Mets. Is there any hope that North American wrestling will finally get out of its bubble and get back on the road? So again, got to emphasize here, Mets is very much a rightist, and I'm guessing this is him saying like open up and like stop worrying so much about COVID. So like no.
Copy paste that, no, but I'm starting to feel myself a little bit. So I would say, before you get on the road, maybe fix the problems in your own goddamn house and take the virus a bit more seriously. Not to mention there was something, God, what was it called? Yeah, speaking out. I'd probably clean out the locker room too before you take any predators on the road. We don't need any more unsuspecting fucking victims. So yeah, I'd worry about that, and I'd worry about a virus. I wouldn't worry so much about a bubble. They have enough money to keep going. I mean, just ask the people that they unnecessarily fired. So yeah. Next question.
Yeah, next set of questions are from Alonzo J, aka Ace the Skylord. First up, are they purposefully trying to make us hate Okada to facilitate a heel turn or something? The money clip sucks.
Wow. Let me just put a pin in this because I know we have fun with the money clip. Look, I miss the Rainmaker as well, but I've agreed with Ashton's analysis since we were covering G1. Okada wants to be known as a guy that's more than a move. He doesn't want to be like a top guy, Petey Williams sort of thing, where like people take him for granted because of the finish. And money clip aside, he still had some banger fucking matches. He's still a freak athlete, and he's still the ace of the company. And I think he's still earning that moniker despite despite self-imposing on himself the prohibition of the Rainmaker. So, yeah, I think it's about proving something to himself and proving it to New Japan audiences. And I think if people are so wrapped up in, but the move sucks, it doesn't make me pop, I think you're looking...
That's your problem. We pop our asses up when he does the money clip.
Yeah, you got to make it work for you. I mean, we've made a joke of it. Oh, my God. It's the end of the career incoming. The money clip. And it just works for us. So, I know different strokes for different folks, but I think it's about so much more than that. And if Ospreay really does push Okada to use it, what does that say about Ospreay? And then what does it say about Ospreay as a heel if he denies us that catharsis? So, yeah, I think they have a chance to tell some really cool stories with it here. We'll see.
All right. Next step or next question, another one from Ace. How long do you see Retribution lasting? Well,
not much longer with their fucking booking.
I was going to say, for me, RIP, they died this past Monday when they got fucking jobbed out to the goddamn Hurt Business and everyone the hell else.
God, if I cared more, I would rant so hard on behalf of Mustafa Ali, because brother deserves better than this. Jesus Christ. Imagine unironically looking as good as that man does, because I don't think you and I would be opposed to waking up looking like Mustafa Ali.
Oh my God, absolutely.
I'm just going to say that right now, right? So imagine you wake up looking like that. You actually have amazing opinions. Like, I would fuck that brain, unironically, right? And you can articulate those opinions really sincerely and really passionately. They stick you in a faction with two. Not one, which would have been enough, but two behemoths in Dio Madden and fucking Dijakovic.
And one of which we know is a fucking workhorse and a half, too.
Yeah. And I like Hurt Business. I don't want to, build up Retribution and, tear down Hurt Business. No, Hurt Business is fucking awesome. But, you have that. You have all of that. Not to mention that, what's fucking... Thorne's name. What's his name?
Slapjack.
Okay, yeah, I was blanking there hard. He's a solid, he's what I would call a mechanic. You put a mid-card title on him. You could do great stuff with it. And you have fucking Mia Yim. And it's well, I guess we shit the bed on that one. I was actually talking with James about this. This might actually be worse than Nexus. Dude, that's really bad.
To me, this makes Nexus looks fucking artistic. This booking makes Nexus look like Picasso, for fuck's sakes.
Yeah.
Nexus got pushed. Nexus got made to look legit. Nexus were consistently handing Cena and Punk their asses until they got into a really big match that had real stakes that the WWE couldn't back out on. In this case, it's the opposite. Retribution's getting their asses handed to them at every turn. The only time that they have ever really, quote unquote, won was when there were dozens of them.
Yeah, I'm just going to say this, because this is just how I felt for a while. I'm really not a believer in a person or a gimmick or what have you being permanently dead in the water like kayfabe. If you do some extraneous shit like what we're seeing with Speaking Out and stuff, that's a different story. But if we're talking about booking and stuff, I don't believe in a truly dead act. Yeah. You just have to try. So I'm not going to say there's no coming back for Retribution. But the saying goes, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is right now.
Yeah.
So the best time to really put the rocket to Retribution was when they debuted. The next best time is right now. Survivor Series is coming up. I hear Lashley might defend the U.S. title. Give Retribution the U.S. title. Give them something. For fuck's sakes. God damn. I feel so bad for Mustafa Ali and company. You're talking a genuinely talented group of people who take Ashton's word for it, because he talks about it more than I do, at least, when we're together. Their social media game is on point. I've seen some of it. They definitely know how to work Twitter, which goes a lot farther than you'd think in wrestling today. Yep. They can work in the ring. Ali, again, I literally just said on here that I would fuck that man's brain. I don't think I've ever used that sentence for anybody else, so that should tell everybody what they need to know. And it's nothing. It's like these guys should be one of the biggest threats going into the Royal Rumble and going into WrestleMania. And I feel like, honestly, dude, if we were to go to Royal Rumble right now, I feel like Hurt Business and them would have a stare down, and Hurt Business would eliminate Retribution entirely from the Rumble. Yep. That's how they're looking at me right now.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Get your shit together.
It legitimately, to me, feels like, fuck, I'm blanking on the name. Connor and Victor all over again. The Ascension. It feels like the Ascension all over again. It's like this group was built up like crazy, and then we found out their identities, and they got absolutely buried immediately.
Yeah, really is a shame.
Yeah, like, I'm sorry. Like, don't get me wrong. I love Bobby Lashley now. I'm a huge fan of MVP in his role as a talker. Shelton Benjamin, I'm kind of whatever on. I fucking love Cedric Alexander. Hurt Business, I love the Hurt Business. I think they're great. It's kind of funny to me, actually, that in attempting to make a dastardly heel corporate faction, they've actually unintentionally made like a really fucking cool, almost like Black Panthers faction. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I dig it.
It's like they tried for one thing and they ended up landing on something completely different, but they ended up landing on something that's even more gold than what they were going for. And at the same time, Vince, I'm convinced that it's a political thing because Vince just fucking hates Antifa so much that it didn't matter who ended up in this faction. They were doomed from the beginning because Vince was never going to let Antifa win anything on his show.
And I did speak about that subtext, man. I spoke about it on here. And, like, it didn't play out exactly as I thought it would, to be fair. But it really is something that these guys can't get anything. And this is a faction led by a guy that probably identifies as Muslim. Like, another missed opportunity.
I know. I just imagine, though, like, the creative meetings where they're just like, man, these Retribution folk, they're really losing credibility. We got to get them some kind of momentum right now, Vince. And Vince is just like, all right, fine, go ahead. Let him pick up a victory over MVP and the other two. Not Lashley, though, not Lashley. And they're just like, all right, so we're going to have Retribution defeat the Hurt Business. And Vince is just like, yeah. Wait a minute. Hang on a second. God damn it, I just can't go through with it. These sons of bitches are Antifa. Fuck Antifa. I love fascism, god damn it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really sad.
And then the whole thing gets changed over and they lose anyway. It's like, no.
Right.
He can't stomach it. It's like the fucking Triple H Sting match. It's like going into it. Sting never wanted it to be about WCW versus WWE. But Triple H kept making it about WCW versus WWE because that's what Vince wanted it to be about. And then Triple H went over in one of the most nonsensical booking decisions, arguably of all time.
Yeah. God, I hate this company.
But that's what it reminds me of, though, because like Retribution have legitimate gripes, but Vince just sees them as Antifa, and Vince has like this, he's a fucking rightist, so of course he loves fascism and he hates Antifa. And yeah, like he has, it's like when you see in like boxing movies and like somebody killed your dad and you have to like imagine their face on your opponent every night to win your matches. It's like Vince imagines the face of Antifa on Retribution every time there's a fucking creative meeting, and he just forces like, no, they're Antifa, so they can't win. I'm not going to allow these fucking anarchists, goddammit, to win on my brand.
Oh my god. I hate how much sense that makes to him, and us understanding him, like, god damn it.
Exactly. He created something he hates, so all he can do with something that he hates is have it lose over and over again.
Mark Schoeneman said, apparently Netflix and WWE are partnering to make a multi-part documentary on Vince. I'm sure it'll be a very honest tell-all with WWE in the room.
Dude, I actually saw that it's going to be, Bill Simmons is going to be a part of it, and the director of Firefest is also involved, and that it's going to be one of the highest budgeted documentaries that Netflix has ever produced.
Damn, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's like a big deal. So.
All right, next question.
Next set of questions is from Noob & Co. First up, we have, what do you think of Asuka's performance this year so far?
I think Asuka's been stellar. I'd actually would love to see a list of the highest paid performers in WWE currently, because Asuka should be top 5, if not even top 3. I think you could honestly make that argument. I think she always shows
I think
up.
that a lot of the incomes in WWE are much more based on like drawing power than like effort. So I don't know
Right.
if it would be top 5, but if they were based on effort, she'd be number 1 for sure because nobody puts more effort into entertaining the fans right now than Asuka.
Definitely. Absolutely. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. I've been very proud of her work. She should be very proud of her work. Yeah. Here is a woman that I don't think the company has always booked her the way that she should be. Yeah. She just rolls with the punches, though.
I'm just thankful that Charlotte hasn't been around to derail her momentum.
Yeah, I do not think that Asuka would have had the year that she has had if Charlotte was in the way. Absolutely not. I completely agree.
That's like the one positive is Charlotte spending her last few months in the company mostly in NXT and working with NXT talent is like Asuka kind of got free reign of Raw for the most part.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right about that, man. I completely agree with you there. And you love to see it. It's just been a great development for her. Yeah. So
I think, it's funny because we've got Montel Vontavious Porter already, but I think Asuka really has been the MVP of WWE this year.
You sly son of a bitch.
I mean, to me, it really has to come down to her or Bayley, right?
Yeah. Oh, my God, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. Second question from Nubico. What are your favorite wrestling podcasts?
I'm going to be honest. I mean, I liked Podswoggle when Ash and I used to listen to it on the regular, but they've been done for a while now.
Yeah.
We really haven't taken the time to listen to the rest of my guys. And to be honest, like, I'd love for it to be like, that's because TWitWoW is the best. I mean, we are. Facts. But I think for me, it's more just there's so much wrestling media that we're already involved with that we produce and that we consume. I kind of get burnt out on it, and I'm not so inclined to go and search out another person's opinions on it. I know sometimes occasionally we will listen to the Joshi pod. Yeah. That's cool because obviously we're very much.
That's like a rarity though, and it's really only when they have guests that we're interested in hearing from.
Right.
Like Maki Ito, Yuki Kamifuku, Layla Hirsch, which we haven't listened to yet, and we need to, but still, like, yeah.
So not really much. Yeah, not really much. Just because again, it's not like an ego thing. It's just more like we cover so much wrestling as is that when I do have podcast time, I definitely prefer like philosophy podcasts and stuff because that's like my intense interest outside of this. So yeah. What about you though, Ashton? I know when like we're apart, are you just more football podcasts? Or are you kind of like me with philosophy?
You know what? I'll tell you what. I have 14 podcasts on my phone right now, and Podswoggle is one of them, which I might as well I keep it on there just in case they ever decide to upload, because I think they did say something along the lines of like, this is the last planned, the last regular one, but there might be like leaking out like some down the road. So I'm just going to stay subscribed to it just in case. But of the other 13 podcasts that I'm subscribed to, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are wrestling related, and the other 9 are all football related. So the 4 that are wrestling related are the Joshi Pod is one of them. Big Fight Feel, which is James Darnell, aka Pulse or CM Pulse. He covers Joshi in that. WrestleSplania is one that I don't really listen to anymore, and they haven't really put out any episodes recently, but they did an amazing Maki Ito one that I literally have listened to like probably 4 times at this point. It's just that fucking good. And then the Dragon Suplex Podcast Network, they talk Joshi and mostly Stardom, and I pretty much ignore everything else that they put out. So that's really the extent of my wrestling podcast consumption.
Fair enough. All right, next question.
Next question from Noob & Co. Which video games would you consider Game of the Year in 2020? Would you consider 4 Game of the Year 2020?
I don't feel qualified to answer this because I'm not really an intense gamer. I just play Rocket League and Fire Pro Wrestling World, more or less. So I don't really keep up with gaming trends. Maybe there will come a year where I'm more qualified because I keep saying that I'd like to get back into certain types of games, but I honestly don't know how to answer this. And I feel like I mean, the same way.
Shit, Among Us would win it if it didn't come out 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. It's just had a big upsurge in popularity.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I think the most likely one is going to end up being Animal Crossing, though.
Yeah, that's true. There was a time
New Leaf Saga or New Horizons. New Horizons, that's what it is.
Yeah, I see Christy play that game a lot. Not so much these days. Maybe she's playing it upstairs where it's warmer because the cold front is setting in. Yeah. But, yeah, I know how massively popular that game is. All right, next question.
Next set of questions are from Revel Icon, formerly known as Iconic Player 1. And the first one's actually just for me. He said, "What are your thoughts on Dak Prescott's injury and its effects on his contract negotiations with Dallas?" I mean, really, dude, it's a tragedy that Dak got fucked up the way he did. I saw his ankle was like rotated the complete wrong way from the way it's supposed to be. Really, really tragic, sad, terrible. You know, like it's never good when anybody gets injured that seriously, but like especially when it's so young and especially when it's like the most important position in arguably all of sports. Like that's a huge loss. And then you take that a step further and you see how awful Andy Dalton has been in the exact same offense for the same team. And I really think that at first I was like, oh, well, that's the end of Dak Prescott's tenure in Dallas. But with how awful how awful Andy Dalton has played, I almost expect Dallas to make Dak a huge offer. Like, they might even be willing to compromise on the number of years. Like, they might be like 3 or 4 years is fine. We're willing to compromise. We just can't fucking lose you because we've seen what other quarterbacks look like in this offense, and it is just not the same. I think Mike McCarthy might even go to bat for Dak. And I think that he might end up landing like maybe like a 3-year, $120 million deal with maybe even like $100 million guaranteed or some crazy shit like that. I think that's actually really likely to happen now. I think that the way that other quarterbacks perform in the same situation that Dak is in is literally the proof that Dallas needs that, like, no, Dak is fucking vital to this shit working. Because like Dak was legitimately on an MVP pace before getting injured. He was killing it. And then Andy Dalton steps in and you're just like, oh, this guy was on an MVP base in 2015 with an equally loaded roster. This is going to be great. This is like, we're not going to skip a beat. And he's garbage. So, and now he's hurt too. So, and now we're going to get to see yet another quarterback behind the same offensive line, throw into the same receivers, and it's a rookie, and he's probably going to suck too. So I really do think that this whole situation, obviously, I wouldn't say it was beneficial to Dak because it did cut a year off of his playing career, and it might have shortened his career overall, unfortunately. But from a financial standpoint, it might end up working in Dak's favor because I really do think that this means Dallas is going to be like, what the fuck? We don't stand a chance without Dak. We need this dude. We need to lock him down for as long as he wants to stick around. So that's my guess. Second question from Revel Icon. Is it time for dives to be regulated in wrestling?
I guess like what? Like a booker says like, oh, you can't do this dive or you're okay to do this dive, that kind of thing?
I actually asked him about that. I actually asked him to kind of clarify on it, and he said more along the lines of keeping the wrestlers from doing stupid stunts that could result in unnecessary injuries and disrupt the flow of a good match.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that. Look, you get one life to live, and I feel like a lot of forms of entertainment, football and stuff like this, they're very high risk, very injury prone. There's no need for unnecessary risks on top of that. Yeah. One thing I really came away from in the G1, I don't want to go on a tangent, so forgive me if that's what happens. But one thing the G1 really illuminated to me is I really, really like safe workers that make their stuff look good. And Sonata just immediately always comes to mind to me. I think everything he does looks good, and I don't really see anything that he does that could really compromise himself or his opponent. Yeah. Teach people to work safe. Teach people to... I
mean, hell, even his slingshot, formerly crossbody that he's doing, he's found a way to make it even safer because now he's even less reliant on his opponent catching him because he lands on his feet every time.
Exactly. This is a dude that's refined his offense to the point where, no problems, really. And I would just teach everybody, work a style that's safe or just do things safely. And, don't always worry about the perilous thing to get a pop. You know how you get a pop? Building your moves up, making them credible. Maybe doing them out of order. I'll never forget one thing that Jake Roberts said was that I kept it fresh because I didn't always follow the same sequence. With the comeback with Triple H, it could be right hand, high knee, spine buster. Yep. Maybe you don't get the sequence up the first time. Maybe you get the spine buster in 15 minutes later than you normally would. Teach people that kind of psychology. Teach people that kind of work style.
Or Cena with the shoulder block, proto bomb, 5-knuckle shuffle, AA.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. for Jake, I don't forget how he said it. It's not just about like what moves I did, it's when I did them. Mm-hmm. And I think I would give people more of an appreciation of timing rather than, oh, what's the next craziest spot I can do. But, you know, that's just me because, again, we have to think these are human beings here, whether we agree with their, you know, social takes or whatever, because I know we found out a lot about a lot of people. I mean, Undertaker's fucked. Jericho, surprisingly healthy-ish, I guess, for his age, but, you know, I mean, obviously not the best-looking performer. Mick Foley's fucked, you know, and it's like it didn't have to be that way. You know, it didn't, and I think my opinions on this shifted drastically because of 07 and, you know, that obvious tragedy. I think, you know, we don't need to do this kind of stuff. I worry about Sasha Banks when she gets older, honestly. Yeah. She does some stuff that I'm like, ooh.
And it's a lot of it's Hell in a Cell, too.
Yeah, definitely. I think there are times, you know, you're going to use up your bump card. You know, another thing that makes me think of, too, because I used to read a lot of wrestler biographies when I was a kid, you know, Edge, I think, made a great point that I think has aged really well. And by that, I mean, like, as I've gotten older, I've appreciated him even more. He used to hate, like, there'd be times he'd go to a SmackDown taping and he'd be like, oh, Edge, we're doing a TLC tonight. He's like, I don't think you should do a TLC on a random SmackDown. That should be kept for a pay-per-view. Like, that shit hurts. Yeah. Like, you know, don't make me try and exhaust my bump card, you know? Yep. Because, I mean, you look at New Japan. I'm not saying New Japan is always safe either. You know, some really stiff shit can go on in there. Yeah. But Suzuki's still competing at 52, and he's competing at such a rate that he's one of the most entertaining people in the company.
Well, and like, really, too, like, if something's really stiff, it hurts. But it doesn't necessarily cause, like, long-term damage. Like, falling on your back repeatedly does.
Exactly. You know? You made a great point about Kali when we were covering Armageddon. You could have gotten so many more years and probably a lot more money out of that guy if you had just kind of held him back. So, yeah, like, definitely. I definitely think there should, you know, be like, hey, what are you planning on doing? Well, I was going to do this loop-de-loop off the Titantron through, like, a stack of tables. No. Go back and come up with something else. So, yeah, it's just my thoughts on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we've been talking about for a while how I think it really kind of dates back to when the Usos were baby faces and they were like doing their dance at the top of the ramp every night and stuff. I was really a proponent at that point of banning the suicide dive. Just like from a rule book standpoint, the same way that like low blows and pokes to the eyes and stuff are banned. Like they would still do them, but it would be more meaningful when they do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of my take on it. So I really appreciate this question though, Iconic. This is a really good one. Second question from Revel Icon. That was the second one actually. Third question from Revel Icon. What's the spookiest thing that's ever happened to you?
Spookiest thing? Oh, definitely a guy in a Michael Myers mask chasing my sister and I. We were going trick or treating one Halloween. And Ashton knows, like, the 1978 Halloween was one of the first scariest movies I watched, and It terrified me so much I slept with my bedroom door open all year because I thought, maybe if I see Michael coming, I can live. The recent 2018 movie.
I mean, we know how slowly he walks, so if you would see him coming, you would definitely be able to escape.
Yeah, for sure. And the shit I put Christy through, man, it's amazing she has any love for me at all. Because, we were coming out, I guess, of one stop we made. I saw it. I think she even said, don't scream, but I couldn't stop myself. He heard it. Started chasing us. By the way, kids, a little lesson for you from Uncle John here. People are dicks, and they're going to let you down. Because we're trying to evade this guy. We come on this house, we're knocking, we're like, oh my God, please help us. You know, can we just stay with you for a few minutes? This guy's chasing us, you know, whatever. They closed the door on us. I think they felt like we were trying to scam them or something. So, you know, that was great. Because now it shows you, if that ever happens in a horror movie, if I ever see a horror movie that does that, and I think I have, I will never dock points from them for that. If anything, I'll give them points. Because I'm like, yeah, there is no universal human empathy. You got a monster chasing you, you're fucked. So we just continue giving chase. We finally feel like we lost him. We're going back home, and then a car pulls up. And it's like I was doing like a really slow wave, and Christy could swear that the soundtrack, and Ashton, I'm sure you know it by now with your iPods, and we've watched so many Halloween movies with the fucking piano rising and all that stuff. She could swear that theme song was playing in the background. And yeah.
I know.
Exactly. So yeah, and that was the spookiest thing. I don't know if you meant more paranormal or whatever, but no, I'd say this is even worse because this was real life. So fucking, ooh, that was rough. What about you?
Yeah, I was gonna say this isn't a paranormal thing for me either, but so when I was like 12 or so years old, I had a friend. I'm not going to use his real name, so I'll just call him Roy. Um, and Roy and I hung out on weekends because I would go to my dad's house on weekends, and we'll say, Roy lived right next to my dad's house, so he and I used to hang out on weekends. And we would listen to music, and we would play cards, and we would play dominoes, and we would actually go outside and do shit because my dad was really fucking weird about video games and watching TV and anything like that. He was very against it. Like, he wasn't like vehemently against it to the point that he'd like get angry at you if you did it at all, but he really tried to make sure that I was like not doing it most of the time, and if I was going to do it at all, it would be just early in the morning or late at night. So I would spend most of my days just hanging out with Roy. And Roy and my dad had a big backyard with a big old like wooded area. Like I won't go as far as to call it a forest, but like woods for sure. And he had his big old path carved out that led to an area with a fire pit and a hammock and a bunch of benches around the fire pit. And it was gorgeous. And that was like one of my highlights of going to my dad's, was actually being able to kind of hang out with Roy and being able to like, chill around the fire and chill on the hammock. And my dad also always had a dog around, so the dog was always fun to play with and stuff like that. And one day, there's also like down past the woods behind my dad's house, or it was my dad's house. He doesn't live there anymore. He lives further away now. But what was behind those woods was a cornfield that belonged to a farmer that lived on the opposite side of the cornfield. So it was like, if you pull off the road, you could go my dad's house and then the woods and then this big ass cornfield and then the farmer's place and then probably another road on the other side of that, because I'm assuming they had to pull into it somehow. And we were out in the woods and we were towards the cornfield. We weren't there yet, but we were close to it. We were like 2/3 of the way to the cornfield. And we were just hanging around. I don't remember if we were like playing tag or if we were like shooting arrows or something like that. I don't remember exactly what we were doing, but we were hanging out. I think that, I think what it was, there was like a fallen log, and we were basically trying to see if we could use it as a bridge, right? And I saw a fucking wolf drinking from the stream. Or at least I thought it was a wolf. I don't actually know if it was, because I got fucking gaslit afterwards that it couldn't have possibly been a wolf, but I could have sworn it was a fucking wolf. And I lost my absolute mind. And I was a chubby kid even then. I fucking sprinted.
I was like, nope.
I was crying. I was scared for my fucking life. And Roy eventually came out of the woods behind me, and I was scared for his life too, but I was fucking freaked out because he didn't even see what I thought was a wolf. And it looked really like it was 2 or 3 to me, because I saw what I thought I saw was a wolf drinking from a stream, and then another wolf or 2 hanging around the one that was drinking from the stream. But I freaked out. I ran to the house, and then my dad was like, what the fuck is wrong with this kid? And my dad and Roy, like I said, basically ganged up, gaslighting me to say, like, there's no possible way that there were wolves out here. It was not real. You didn't actually see that. I don't know what you saw. Maybe it was just a regular dog, but there are no wolves. So either I saw wolves and my life was in genuine danger, or I saw fucking ghost wolves. I don't know.
I believe you for what it's worth.
Thank you.
I believe that you saw it. Just the same way, dude, that, like, I kind of gaslit myself recently, because I could swear when I went out one night, like, I think it was maybe even last year, I could swear, dude, I saw like a coyote or something like that, like in the dark, because I could swear that I saw a creature that looked big like a dog would be turning around the bend, because when I go down my trail, right, before I get to the actual hiking trails, there's like a little bit of a curve beyond the fish pond that exists like outside of our properties and stuff. And beyond that curve, like, I saw an animal like turn and go down.
Right.
I could swear it was some kind of coyote or some shit, man. Maybe a bigger fox. I don't know. We got some big fucking animals out here. Christy, just the other day, she saw like a big ass squirrel. I thought it was pregnant. She's like, no, I just think it's been eating good. And I'm like, damn.
Oh, dude,
so, like,
squirrels love pumpkins. That might be why, because squirrels eat pumpkins.
Yeah. And it was crazy because I'm like, man, did I really see that? And I got to be honest, man, even if you believe you saw something, which again, I absolutely believe that you saw what you saw. And just as I believe that I did see a coyote, you are on your fucking toes after that, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've already come out this far. I got to go to the mailbox. If you guys ever wondered how much I do love philosophy, there was a philosophy book waiting for me in that mailbox. And I'm like, do I risk it for the coyote? Yeah, so I made the trip, I made it back, and I'm like, whoo, and I just took that deep breath when you're so grateful to be alive, even if there was no danger whatsoever.
Yeah.
So no, I believe you, bro. Fuck them gaslighters, bro. We know what we saw. Fuck them.
Yeah. Anyway, next question. I'm glad that was a fun question to answer, actually. Fourth question from Rebel Icon: which 4 wrestlers would you go ghost hunting with?
4 wrestlers to go ghost hunting with, the question was, because I was reading chat.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you exactly what I would do. I would go ghost hunting with Daniel Bryan so that I have somebody fuck with the other people with. Flip Gordon, Will Ospreay, and AJ Styles.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Yes.
Just because I want my own ragtag team that we can make our own Netflix documentary about and make that money.
Yes.
Fucking.
It's just going to inquire Alex Shelley's camera work.
Oh, definitely. You know this is straight paparazzi productions. I'll say Morrison, of course, because one, total fucking boss. And 2, his comedy, I think, would be interesting in this situation. The Fiend, to draw the spirits out and maybe even contain them, intimidate them. Let's see, who else? Who's like a jobber that I think would be easily scared to go? Like if Heath Slater was still running the company, I would have said Slater, but he's not. Actually, no, they said 4 pro wrestlers, so it doesn't have to be WWE, right? They just said 4 pro wrestlers. So
yeah,
I think Slater might be working Impact, so I'll say Slater. And God. Okay, so Slater, Fiend, Morrison, and you know what? Roman Reigns, because he wouldn't break a fucking sweat, baby. We need that steely confidence. Ghost would come up to him. Did you come out of hiding so that you could acknowledge the tribal chief? What? Bam! Yes, okay. That's what I thought. Now go back in there. Okay. So yeah, we need a guy with the steely confidence. Roman would be perfect.
It's funny you say steel because I'm just thinking balls of steel.
Hell yeah.
All right, 5th and final question from Iconic. Who are your favorite horror icons?
Michael Myers, easily. Mm-hmm. If we were just going by the first 2 Saw movies, I would say Jigsaw. I really enjoyed the first 2, and then it just became like horror porn or like gore porn. Like, oh, how can these people get killed kind of thing. Yeah. So Michael, Jigsaw with the qualifier of just the first 2 movies. And you know what? Robert Englund, I fuck with Robert Englund, so I'll say Freddy Krueger too.
Yeah, I was going to say, Freddy Krueger is a really easy one. I don't know if this really counts, but Xenomorphs for me.
Oh, dude, hell yeah. Chestbursters forever.
Yeah, that's like, it's, he did say horror, not Halloween, so yeah. I'm going to say, Xenomorphs for sure are up there for me. God. Horror icons. Thing is, prior to this year, I would have said the fucking Creeper from Jeepers Creepers, but now that I know the story behind him, I can no longer support it.
I have 2 more. I would say, because you said horror, not necessarily Halloween. Hannibal Lecter, obviously, for me.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. And I'd say Pinhead from the Hellraiser franchise. Again,
I was going to mention Pinhead. Damn it, the Xenobites.
Yeah. God, they are so fucking quotable. Your suffering will be legendary, even in hell. So, it's a good time.
Does Ash from Ash vs. Evil Dead count?
Yeah, there you go.
I'm going to stop before I start saying something even dumber. Next set of questions from Alex Cage. We've got, first one is for me, actually. Should Matthew Stafford leave Detroit? I think maybe give him a chance in the offseason, because if they go out of their way to keep Darryl Bevell around, I think he should stick around too. But if Daryl Bevell is gone, then yeah, I would say Stafford should leave too. Because right now, I think Bevell is like the best thing that's ever happened to Stafford. The problem is that he also has to deal with Matt Patricia. So yeah. Anyway, Matt Patricia is like the real problem there. I think if they get rid of him and keep Daryl Bevell, Stafford's just fine in Detroit. Otherwise, yes, he should leave. Second question from Alex Cage. Who do you think will win the election? And this is kind of, we already...
Oh, actually, Ashton, I hate to interrupt you. He actually did replace it because I know you made the offer. His new number 2 is now most overrated television show and movie and most underrated television show and movie.
Oh. Well, I was going to say for the second question, he also added to predict the Electoral College results. I just was going to say I think Biden's going to win by 350 plus.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there, because to be perfectly honest, it would take too long for me to try and come up with my own answer, because I don't really know how to work all that out, so I'll just piggyback off of you there. And this was his newer question, though, since you extended the offer. I can tell you right now, it would take me a bit longer, I think, to come up with TV show, but movie, definitely La La Land for me. Because it came from the same director that made my favorite movie of all time, Whiplash.
So would Whiplash then be your most underrated movie of all time, since it didn't win awards?
Yeah, oh my god, yeah. Everybody should know that movie, and it'll be underrated until everybody knows that movie. I don't even care if you're carrying life in the fucking womb. You will put headphones on, and you will show them that goddamn movie. So yeah, underrated Whiplash, overrated La La Land. I'll hand it back to you while I'm thinking of TV. What's your most overrated and underrated movie?
Oh, man. God. Fuck, man. This is so hard. What was your most overrated movie? La La Land.
I said La La Land.
You made it so easy for yourself because you just picked 2 movies from the same director that had opposite views to your own.
Yeah.
I was going to say my most overrated TV show is Friends. Or not Friends. I take that back. Seinfeld. Most overrated TV show.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that.
And most underrated TV show, and again, this kind of, not maybe to the degree, but this kind of does come back to the creeper problem, because the main creator of the show that I'm about to mention is problematic. But arguably, I would say one of the most underrated TV shows of all time is Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. I fucking loved that fucking show.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an amazing, and another really underrated TV show is The Magicians too. I would say those two are my 1A and 1B as far as most underrated TV shows of all time. Movies are so much harder for me though, because I just don't have as good of a gauge for how people feel about movies.
Let me ask you something, Ashton, before I answer TV, because I don't want us to get into a debate after the fact. I'd rather clear it up right away.
Okay.
Would you say a show that was canceled by Netflix would be kind of underrated in that way, it wasn't just given enough of a chance, or
I would only say that would be the case if it didn't have a passionate outpouring of fan support to bring it back.
See, because I'd want to say underrated would either be for me, but I do feel like they had their passionate fan bases, just not passionate enough, I guess, to get it back on. Right. So I don't know if that would count. I would say either underrated would be the OA, which I think is what I'll go with for my answer, because I think that
I think that's more reasonable than the other one that you're probably going to say.
Yeah, Santa Clarita Diet was going to be my other one. So I'll go with the OA for underrated, because that was a really good show that I think dealt with heady concepts, and I just loved how everything was being written. Overrated TV show. I can't say Game of Thrones, because everybody kind of threw it in the trash after that finale.
Yeah. God damn it.
Overrated TV show. God, because I feel like a lot of TV shows that were popular for a lot of people, it took me years to even watch Mad Men or Breaking Bad, right? So I don't really have my finger on the pulse of TV, and really I can't even say that I have it with movies, but it's about equal. What was the TV show that was really popular? Oh, you know what? You know what I'll say? Because I actually did try and watch episodes of this. Big Bang Theory for me. Oh. I never got the appeal for that show ever. I think it's so fucking cringe.
Man, so yeah, we've really lampooned a couple of really awful shows with, Seinfeld and Big Bang Theory. Holy shit.
I'm proud of us, though, for coming up with those picks, man, because I honestly thought I wouldn't be able to top you.
Yeah.
But I'm not even saying that I did here. I just thought you took a really good one, and I'm like, fuck, what am I going to do? But yeah, Big Bang Theory, dude. Fuck yeah.
Do you have any ideas as far as what my most underrated movie might be? Just a movie that most people don't like, and maybe you didn't even like that much, that I liked, that I maybe even loved? Because I really do not have a good idea of other people's perception of movies for the most part.
Right. Trying to think. Because I know you... what about... well, no. Big Lebowski was adored by many. That's not
because that's like one of my favorite movies of all time. And like, you know what? I most underrated movie for me, Big Daddy. That's the easy one. Because I love that movie. And to me, that movie actually still holds up. Like, I've literally watched that movie within the last week, and I loved it again still. It's so good to me. Like, obviously, the dude and the main character is problematic, but that's part of the point of the fucking movie.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to say Big Daddy is going to be my answer for most underrated. Most overrated, though... God. Fuck. I don't want to say anything that's going to be like, what the fuck's your problem? Let me see. Highest grossing movies of all time. Let's see here. Highest grossing films. Avengers Endgame, Avatar, Titanic. Haven't seen Titanic, so can't give it that. I think most people that saw Jurassic World didn't love it. Jurassic World, Rotten Tomatoes. What's it at? See. Oh God, 71. Okay, well there you go. Jurassic World, most underrated movie. That's fucking easy. Are you kidding me? That's like a movie that like I vaguely enjoyed the first time watching it. Like it was like turn your brain off, and it's like a Jurassic Park movie with dinosaurs in it. I'm gonna like it no matter what. But I've tried rewatching it since, and it's fucking trash. Like it is actually bad. It does not hold up at all, and it just came out 5 years ago. It's so bad.
Damn. All right.
Yeah, the first Jurassic World, not the first Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park's a fucking masterpiece, but Jurassic World, the one that just came out in 2015 with Chris Pratt and shit, garbage, horrible movie, just genuinely not a good movie. Like the best part about it is the CGI, and it's got amazing CGI, great graphics, it looks amazing, but pretty much everything about it is really bad. Everything else about it is really bad. So that's gonna be my answer for most overrated movie. Next question. From Alex Cage. No, we got through that already. No, we didn't. Oh, that was the new second question. The third question from Alex Cage and the final question from Alex Cage is, who would you like to see sign with AEW or WWE in 2021? And then he listed a few names like himself, Matt Taven, Jay Lethal, and Sami Callihan, but I don't think either one of us is going to pick any of those people.
No.
I mean, personally, if I had to pick one of those people, I would say, like, Lethal to AEW, but I really don't care about any of them, personally, as far as, like, their wrestling careers go. I mean, you know, Alex, if you're a wrestler, I wish you the best, but, it's not like I'm actively rooting to see you work for a company when I've never even seen you work before.
Yeah, pretty much copy-paste what he said. I think you expressed both of our sentiments perfectly.
Next question. Would you pick?
Who would I pick to go to WWE or AEW in 2021? You know what? I really, there was a time where I would have seen, let me try and really think about this here. Who are some hot indie workers that you and I are really excited about?
You know what? I'm going to just say this as like a not like signing full time, but actually working with Maki Ito to AEW 2021, please.
Yeah. You know what? Maki Ito works for sure. God, I wish WWE was better about Japanese women, because I'm excited about Saudi going to the company eventually.
You're going to get to see Saudi for the first time on next Friday.
Yeah, that TJPW Super Show, right?
Yep. She's going to be teaming with Ito too, dude.
Yeah, it's going to be fucking wild. I would almost say like Miyu Hayashishita to WWE, but like maybe she should go to AEW too. Hikaru Shida could have something to do. Nyla Rose could get her head kicked off. Because I think Hayashista's a beat. Like, you guys got to understand.
Oh, wait, no. You're talking about Miyu, like, TJPW, the Pink Striker?
Yes.
Yamashita, not Hayashishita.
Yamashita. Oh, sorry. My mistake.
Hayashishita is Utami.
Yes. So, Miyu, I'll just say. She was easily the best part of TJPW to me. Like, I've already been honest with Ajin, so it's not like I'm saying anything to you guys that I haven't said to him. I'm really mad on it.
She's actually pretty passionate about learning English too. I've actually seen a few like posts from people that are more familiar with the actual roster that are like, Miyu is always like reading English, trying to learn English. Like she really wants to be better at English.
Yeah, and like to me, I was pretty mad on TJPW. I think when you go from Stardom, which is just so goddamn good, it's not that TJPW is trash by any means or anything like that, but it's not the same work rate, and I just don't have the same emotional investment. Obviously, because I'm more prolonged to Stardom, I've had more prolonged exposure. But just Miyu really stood out to me. She's a fucking killer. And yeah, I think AEW or WWE really, and I guess I would just put her in AEW. It's a safer bet for right now because WWE has a more proven track record, and maybe one day AEW will get it right with their women. So I'd say Miyu to AEW as well. I think she's fantastic. So
that's cool. That's cool. And really, I almost feel like she would be better off in WWE than Sari, really, because I like Sari. She's a good worker, but Miyu has like almost like that Asuka physical presence about her that I don't really think Sari has.
That's the word, dude. You took the word right out of my mouth, specifically the word presence. Because I think you put a Miyu face-to-face with Shayna Baszler, I get goosebumps. Face-to-face with Asuka, goosebumps. Sasha, goosebumps. Like, Miyu's a beast.
Yeah.
If they would just know how to really use Japanese women. And again, really, Asuka, and I will never stop stressing this, Asuka's the exception, not the rule.
Yeah.
Because I think Asuka got herself over against all the odds. I don't know if Miyu has the same charisma that Asuka does.
I was going to say, I think we rather than looking at Asuka as like this freak incident that we can't learn anything from, I think that we should try and learn something. And I really do think that the physical charisma, the physical presence, that means that like you don't need to speak a word in order to connect with people is why Asuka got so over and as quickly as she did. And I think that if anyone in Japan has that right now, realistically it's Maki Ito, but I do think that Miyu is up there as well.
Yeah. Foster, it's funny because, there was a time when I really was curious about a beer money run in WWE. I don't think it's going to happen. I think James Storm is a TNA lifer because he keeps ending up back there. Impact Wrestling, just to be proper now.
Yeah.
And I think Rude has a really comfortable gig with WWE. I mean, I know he pissed hot recently, and I think COVID's kind of fucked everything up. But if he can keep his nose clean, he's got a solid gig. The dude, I think, is 40 years old now. He's not going to want to uproot and go anywhere. And again, I know you said James Storm, so I'm not putting words in your mouth. I'm just saying that I just don't think a reunion is going to happen because that would be more on Storm than on Rude.
Yeah.
And I just see Storm, for whatever reason, being comfortable where he is. So
I feel like we're more likely within the next 5 years to get a beer money reunion in Impact than see James Storm go to WWE to work with Rude again with a different.
I completely agree with that. I absolutely agree with that for sure.
So, all right, next set of questions. We've got one from Rotten Butter. He wants us to book a 108 entrant intergender tag tournament across all time and promotions, and then cut a promo on all the losers. And just kidding, it's just the usual Rotten Butter first question.
Oh, thank fucking God. I honestly wasn't going to be pissed at him. I was going to give a tongue lashing to you live on air. I'm like, how the fuck did you let this pass? Thank God.
I'm so glad he typed it that way and that I was able to pull off the delivery. That was amazing.
Yeah, I was about to go on a fucking shoot that people would believe is a work, and then they woke up to the fact that, oh my God, it's a shoot. Yeah, I'll love you, Rotten Butter. Love you working me. Yeah, it's great. So easily the worst thing I watched this month was The Haunting of Bly Manor. I was rooting for that show so hard. When I heard from somebody that it was like a gothic love story, I actually got excited because your friend John here does have a sensitive side, and it's Halloween, so you want to see good scares. No, it sucked balls. So there was that. Watched the first installment of Unsolved Mysteries. That actually is genuinely good. We watched Volume 1. There are still some cases that I'm thinking about that are just fucking wild. And this volume here so far hasn't been bad. I'm curious what case we'll see this coming Saturday when I'm stuffing my face with good Chinese. What else did we watch? Oh, we watched Ratchet, that new Netflix show with like Sarah Paulson and the creator of American Horror Story. I swear they're tied at the hip. Like they do everything together. Not bad, but if you're a fan of the One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, either movie or if you're a real diehard and you've read the book, if you read the manga before watching the anime, right? You're probably not going to like it as much, if I'm just being truthful. Thankfully, I only watched the movie, and I vaguely remember it and the character, so I was open to a fresher take. It is what it is. Does The Boys Season 2 count under this month, bro? Because I could swear we finished that this month. Yep. Yeah, you and I did that. That was huge. Loved it.
Kipo Season 3 dropped this month as well.
Oh God, that ending, that
I know.
was so satisfying.
I know, it was beautiful. And South Park, the pandemic special, was also this month.
Oh yeah, man, Randy got freaked with that pangolin. Am I right?
And the bat.
Oh yeah. So that was great. You and I have been watching so much Halloween related stuff. I mean, the Halloween Town movies.
That's been our main thing this month. Is we watched all 4 of the Halloween Town movies. We watched all of the Halloween movies except for Resurrection, the Rob Zombie remakes. We watched both Zombieland movies, which we had never seen double tap before, so that was fun. What else have we done, man? What other like horror type stuff have we done?
Well, let's think. We did Hocus Pocus last night.
Yeah, that's right.
We did Jeepers
the Alien franchise.
The Alien franchise, yeah.
So we did Alien, Aliens, Prometheus, and Alien Covenant. We skipped the middle stuff.
God, Covenant was, oh my God. I fucking love douchebags. But yeah, what else? Fuck the human species. I'm trying to think here. Obviously still playing Rocket League, doing that stuff. I'm obviously still doing my nerd shit, you know, reading and working on stuff, so that's nothing new. I'm trying to think. Did the family and I watch any anime? I don't think we did. I've been itching to get back into anime, though, because I feel like we're so behind on so much. I don't think that's happened. You and I... Because Lovecraft Country. We finished that recently.
My God, yes, that's such a great show.
Oh my God, dude. The aesthetics, the characters, that I can't wait to rewatch that if they do get a season 2 or something like that.
I really hope that it gets the go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, you and me both, brother. You and me both. Ooh, I don't want to keep hemming and hawing because that's horrible content. I don't think any new music. I know Every Hour Kills, I think, put out a new track this month.
Oh, dude, I mean, speaking of the scary movies, we did watch the 3 Jeepers Creepers movies, and we got to see, like, the first one, borderline masterpiece. Second one, not a masterpiece, but still fun. Third one, actual fucking garbage. And in the process, because I tweeted about the third one being actual fucking garbage, I got to find out that the creator of the Jeepers Creepers series is also actual fucking garbage.
Yeah.
Like, child rapist type garbage.
Yeah, he's a real piece of shit.
Yeah. And like, that's why I can't approve of The Creeper anymore, because it feels too fucking close to home. Because, of course, this dude, of all people, would make an invincible monster that goes around preying on teenagers. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah. That's pretty yikes, friend.
And, like, the sniffing, because it's picking out body parts, like, it's already creepy when it's just done for the sake of horror, but the creepiness factor goes up about 1 billion times when you realize it's made by a child rapist.
Yeah.
Who's probably, you know, projecting himself onto his creature.
I will say one movie the family and I watched, which I loved, was had Charlize Theron, and which, you know, I got a double dose for, I guess, because you did say we watched Prometheus. Was The Old Guard on Netflix. I actually really enjoyed that movie, and I'm excited that they're going to be making more based on how that ended. So yeah, dude, Javaris, fuck Stormfront, dude. That scene was so fucking satisfying. The Boys does it right.
And girls get it done.
Yeah, they do, dude. I like credit to The Boys, because I saw so many people in the comments of that now quickly becoming iconic scene of them beating the fuck out of Stormfront, that it was so much better than Marvel's like moment where it's like, nah, she's got this, or they've got this, or whatever, and it's all the female superheroes. They're like, this is how you do this, Marvel, without being cringe. It was amazing. So yeah, I can't really think of anything else for the moment. So if you have anything you want to pad this out with, feel free, man. I'm going to hand the ball back to you.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, I watched Behind the Curve, which is a Netflix documentary, not making the argument for Flat Earth, but actually, like, showing how Flat Earth came to be and how, like, the resurgence of people believing in the Flat Earth happened, basically. And I think it's designed to be funny, but it's just fucking sad. It's, like, depressing that, like, these people wrap their entire identity around being in this niche group, and every time something gets proven wrong, they're just like, well, we don't necessarily know that this one bit of evidence is going to change our minds. And they're just like, they cling to that identity so closely that it doesn't fucking matter how much fact you throw at them, because they care more about having this identity than they care about actually being right.
Dude, I think I've actually watched the documentary with the family. We might have even watched it the year it came out, because I'm seeing this is 2018. Well, I've seen that documentary.
Yeah.
That's wild, yeah.
Yeah, and like the one speech, there's like a dude that gets up in, I don't know if it was like a bar or something like that, but there's this dude that gets up in front of everyone, and it was like a meeting, and it was like scientists, I think, or something like that. And it was taking place like on the outskirts of a city that had a big flat earth convention going. And this dude got on the mic and he was basically explaining what I just kind of said, and how like you ridiculing these people is just going to push them further into this group. Like we need to embrace them and try and help them to get out of this toxic group and that kind of thing. And it's like, fuck, it's like, it really is like, okay, it speaks to me in the sense that I could have very easily seen myself falling down that rabbit hole at a certain point in my life. Like when we were, we watched the Zeitgeist thing and we made the fucking videos about historical corruption and stuff like that. And like, I was really into like atheist YouTubers, and a lot of them ended up falling down the fucking alt-right rabbit hole. And I'm so goddamn glad that I didn't follow them there. And John, I honestly have you to thank, because you probably did a lot to help keep me from falling down that rabbit hole. And like, I also just kind of see a lot of like, oh, well, all these conspiracy nuts. And like, there was a time that I was a 9/11 truther, and I'm not going to try and hold back on that. There are a lot of you that probably already knew that. And I'm just so fucking happy that I wasn't able to go further into that rabbit hole, because I could have ended up being a fucking flat earther. And it's a sad life. It is a fucking sad life.
Oh, brother, I know that this wasn't the nature of the question, but first of all, absolutely, man. Like, I'm right there with you. There was a time where I was, I wouldn't say like hard libertarian, but I like the idea of personal autonomy and this and that. For a fact, I listened to Stefan Molyneux and Free Domain Radio, because at the time when I was just getting into philosophy, I wanted to just glom onto any philosopher that I could, because I was just so wildly passionate about it.
Yeah.
Dude isn't a fucking philosopher. He's a charlatan. I actually found out, just because I'll never pass up an opportunity to dig my heels into Molyneux, that his dissertation, like, it wasn't even graded. He just berated his professor to give him an A, and the professor gave him an A just to leave him alone. Like, it wasn't even like a formal grading process. And if you actually read it, there are no citations. There's no scholarly rigor, none of that. And I was really into his show. You could probably still find it on YouTube. There's a clip of me asking a question on his show. And God, it was so cringe, because I'm like, what do you think about information socialism? Which is just a wordy way of saying open access, right? What do you think about stuff being open? And, I think at the time the take might not have been horrible, because, they were still pandering to that libertarian community. But much like that community you were speaking about, bro, the atheists, man, did they go far right.
Yeah.
And like you, I'm grateful I didn't go with them. But I think when we talk about not just ridiculing these people, but understanding them, now, I don't mean to be reductive in my analysis. That's really not my intention. But I think when you live in a society where, like, it's such an atomized condition, with like the hyper-individualism and the capitalism and bootstraps and 9 to 5, like, I think human beings are a species that long for a sense of community.
Yeah.
And when you have a society and a social and economic arrangement that atomizes individuals, and that, again, is the hyper-individualism and makes you feel so disparate from other people, you'll take that community however you can get it. That's really the sad part, is that, again, not to be reductive, but I think in a way, again, you can look at our social condition of hyper-individualism and our economic arrangement of capitalism as making these things, what they are. And it's just a shame, because there are healthier communities out there. I'm so thankful that instead of following Molyneux, I followed you guys, and I think you kept me clear too, because having somebody to talk to, like, about all this, I think we kind of helped each other out. And
I distinctly remember we were actually playing Rocket League when you first told me how far down the right-wing rabbit hole Molyneux had fallen.
Yeah, oh my God, dude. Like, there's a video of him.
Because you told me about something where, like, he went to a country in, I want to say like either Eastern Europe or like one of like the Nordic countries or somewhere around there. And it was like an all-white country. And he was basically like, when he got back, he was like bragging about how peaceful and amazing it was, and basically preaching ethno-states.
Yeah. He's like, the streets were incredibly clean. Nobody was called a racist, this, that. And I'm like, dude, Jesus Christ. And like, I should have known that something was shady with him because he would never debate like actual leftists. Like, there were leftists that I was listening to at the time that would like call him out for being a charlatan and like showing the inadequacies of his arguments and the holes in his arguments, but he would never like debate them. And you can actually go back and you can watch the debates. He'll constantly interrupt his opponents. He'll like try and throw them off their line of thought by like taking back the mic. And like, look, guys, I'm not going to front with anybody. I'm not always the quickest person to catch on to people's malevolent intent or just them being horrible, especially for me. I don't know if it's because of my childhood trauma of wanting to keep my family together when it was very clearly falling apart. But,
I think there's also a big part of that that's you wanting to see the best in everybody.
I do. I really do. Like I've definitely become a believer more over time, and there isn't a deep down. You just are what you do. But it took me, a long while to get there, and I'm still getting there. And so I'm like, nah, Molyneux isn't that bad. But like, that's the thing, though, bro. I'm glad that we're sharing our stories openly, even though, again, I know this has nothing to do with the original question, because people need to know that radicalism, like, I think people, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this if you just have a different view of it, but I think people, when it's portrayed by the media, it seems like radicalism is almost like this anomalous thing. Like, oh, well, they just had really bad parents, or they were just really isolated. Like, couldn't happen to me. And true, like, toxic environments, I think, do exacerbate those conditions. But I think radicalism could really happen to anybody, even when you're not aware of it. Like, because I wasn't aware. Like, honestly, the biggest thing that I think got me away from Molyneux was, like, the anarchists I was listening to when they played audio of Molyneux saying about women, that he said, like, oh, they choose to date assholes. That they need to be held fucking accountable. And hearing that audio, I'm like, whoa, like, I'm a lot of things, but I'm trying not to actively, explicitly hate women. Not saying I don't have my own implicit biases, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And that was like, I'm out. But, if I hadn't seen that, if I hadn't heard that, if I was on the hook with him for what he was saying, like, about libertarian philosophy, would I have joined him when he started seemingly being like, well, the black people, they just need help because they don't have as high an IQ. And would I have just been like, oh, yeah, makes sense. Like, you really can't say. I mean, that's how radicalism happens. We talk about ISIS, right? And like how bad ISIS is. Maybe if you didn't drone strike other countries and leave people grieved because they lost their mothers, their sons, whatever. Because again, what are you taking from them? You're taking their sense of community away from them.
Yep.
We need more community, not less. And that's the thing. Like, I think the scariest thing about this rightist administration that we've seen really is how it's putting the already hyper-individualist, hyper-masculine culture that we're seeing on steroids. Yep. I mean, Trump came out with COVID, right? He didn't want to wear a mask, and you could see he's struggling to breathe. Why? Because we need to maintain that rugged individualism, that rugged masculinity at all costs. God forbid we try a new social arrangement predicated on empathic responses, deeper communal bonds. Maybe incels wouldn't, and like even that term seems a bit derogatory. I'm using it more in a prescriptive sense. Maybe they wouldn't be so angry. Maybe, that this group would be like, wow, I've been focusing on the wrong thing. It's amazing how we have these illusory communities that aren't really communities at all because they're so flimsy, and that real solidarity and connection is possible, and they just keep it out of our reach. I'm really sorry for this because, again, I know that wasn't the question, but you really talking about your experiences got me thinking about my own. Yeah. And I'm glad we had this discussion, if nothing else. So I'll hand it back to you if you have anything else you want to say.
Well, we were still on Rotten Butter's first question. Other than the movies that, I've been watching, like the horror movies and stuff like that. I haven't really done any other movies. I think I've watched The Big Lebowski again this month. I know I've watched Big Daddy at least once, maybe even twice this month. And really, it's not even that I'm like watching them intently. It's more that I'll put them on the TV while I'm puttering, while I'm like playing Minecraft or something else. That's a big thing. I've spent a lot of time this month playing modded Minecraft, specifically, again, Feed the Beast Infinity Evolved Skyblock, which is an expert mode pack, and it is so fulfilling. It's so fun. As far as music goes, not really anything new. I will say, though, it's not new, but I have rediscovered some music in the last week or so, because I was just like, a few nights ago, I was just like, man, you know what song I could listen to is Broken by Amy Lee and Seether. So I went and I found that on Spotify and played it, and then it was on continuous play, and it just kept playing other songs that were similar to it. And it was a lot of songs that I was familiar with, and I came across a couple of bands that I had forgotten about, like Saving Abel and Crossfade specifically. And I was like, wow, I used to love this music, and I don't necessarily still love it, but it was hitting the spot that night, and I have listened to it at least once or twice since. So yeah, it was a pretty fun experience. Let's see. I feel like a lot of what we've been doing over the last month really is just watching YouTube content. We watch more YouTube content than pretty much anything else, I feel like. Maybe not over the last couple days, but over the last few weeks, I would definitely say. Lots of new rock stars, lots of Beyond the Trailer, lots of Hermitcraft, lots of Etho in general, lots of, like individual like wrestlers that have YouTube channels like Tennille and Ruby and Mina Shirakawa and Hikaru Shida, although she doesn't upload as often anymore. Kana-chan is like a multiple times a week uploader. That kind of stuff. Billy Kay, Jay McKay does is really, really cool. I think she might actually be my like second favorite, maybe third. She's really shot up the ranks for me. I've really enjoyed her work. Liv Morgan got a YouTube channel. It's literally just Gianna Daddio is the name of the YouTube channel. She's done a few videos. The most recent one was more annoying though, because she was like working out with Lana, and Lana's annoying as shit. So yeah, lots of trailers have been coming out. Like we got the trailer. What was the one big trailer that we got that we were so fucking excited about? Oh, Dexter is coming. New season 9 is going to be coming in hopefully 2021. Apparently they're reviving the Animaniacs at some point.
That trailer was genuinely good, and I say that as somebody, and I don't want to be shot here, that didn't really care much for the original Animaniacs as a kid, save for Pinky and the Brain. I love that shit.
Was Pinky and the Brain Animaniacs? I thought that they were completely different shows.
They were different shows, but like it came, I think, like the same universe kind of thing.
Right.
So
okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Raya, dude, Raya, the Last Dragon or whatever, that trailer, that looks so good.
Oh
from
my
Disney.
God. Raya.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that wrong until the movie's released. But yeah, like
I also saw that Hocus Pocus is gonna be remade.
Yeah, it is.
And I don't know if it's going to be Hocus Pocus 2 or if it's going to be Hocus Pocus 2021 or 2022, or what they're going to do, if they're going to give it some kind of special name like Hocus Pocus Return of the Sandersons or something like that. But I apparently it might even have the original 3 women that played the Sanderson sisters. They might actually be returning to play the Sanderson sisters again.
That would be really cool.
Because that's the thing, they weren't even that old when they first did it. Like I think that the one that played Winnie might have been a little on the older side, like in her 40s maybe. It was Bette Midler. How old is she right now? She's 74 right now, so she's a little on the older side now. But when she did the movie originally, she was like 48 at that point. That's not even that old. But then like Sarah Jessica Parker was one of them, and I think she's not even 50 yet, is she? Oh, she's 55. And then the other one, I forget her name. The one that had like the crooked mouth the whole movie, even though she was putting it on. Kathy Najimy, that's what it was. I think she's the youngest of the 3, isn't she? Oh no, she's 63. Okay, so Sarah Jessica Parker's the youngest of the 3, but still, I'm pretty sure they're still all active in Hollywood. They're still all like actively doing acting gigs. So, yeah, I think that they might actually all come back to keep their roles basically. So I think that's really interesting, personally, that they're redoing Hocus Pocus, and then it's probably going to be with like the original trio as the Sanderson sisters.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if they're gonna, because this would be such a fucking Hollywood move. I wonder if they're gonna try and get the Sanderson sisters, played by the original trio, to do a passing of the guard to a new trio of witches.
Ooh, that would be interesting.
And yeah. I almost the way that like with Saw, you almost got to the point that Jigsaw was almost the protagonist. I almost wonder if they're gonna make the witches, like the new witches, the protagonists of the series and make a franchise out of it.
Yeah, that's not a bad thought, man. Not a bad thought at all.
That's so Hollywood, though, right?
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
No, I think that about covers it. So, I mean, personally, I've been just doing a lot of like Japanese stuff, and I just want to say too, I'm proud of myself because I am really diving headfirst into the Japanese language, and I won't say I'm diving headfirst into Japanese culture, but I am learning a lot more about Japanese culture and stuff. And I just gotta say, I have really maintained a healthy healthy cynicism about Japanese culture, because I know that, like, to become an otaku, you basically have to denounce your own culture and act like Japanese culture is the best. And I'm just like, fuck that. I don't like either culture, but Japanese culture is so much worse than this one.
Yeah, dude, you know what, though? That makes me doubly proud of you, because, one, not only have you been steadfast in, like, acquiring the language, which, take it from a guy that I call myself hopelessly monolingual, and it really is both because of lack of effort, and I think the times when I have actually tried, like, it's not enough for me to retain it.
Right.
But you haven't, like, completely changed your identity, like, I know Japanese now, and this is my life now. Like, you've stayed grounded.
I feel like a lot of people do that, though. And especially because, like, I feel like a lot of people learn Japanese because they, like, want to move to Japan. They love the Japanese culture. They love Japanese media, et cetera, and they just want to be a part of it. And I'm just like, I just want to translate wrestling promos, y'all.
Yeah.
Value on intellectualism, rather than in the U.S., where we're almost like, intellectualism is a bad thing. Like, if you're smart, you're not cool, kind of thing.
Right.
But in Japan, if you're smart, you are cool.
Yes.
But also, women are expected to, like, stay at home and be fucking broodmares, basically. Like, it's really regressive socially.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Next question from Rotten Butter. Do you find a lot of politically correct terminology to come off as really condescending? And he actually went further on this, talking about how he personally does. He doesn't like to use that kind of terminology because he feels like it's speaking down to people. Let me actually read the exact words that he said. Full disclosure. Oh, that was a different thing. He said, I do, and I hate using these terms for other people or having them used on myself, as it feels more insulting than an actual insult. Is there anything that can be done about this?
Do you mind if I go first on this one?
Sure.
Because it's weird for me, right? Because I think it really depends on the circles you're running in. Like, I'll never forget one time I was on a friend of mine's Facebook page. He's, like, I think, like, very far left like I am. He is a black man.
Yeah.
And I think he was talking about police brutality. And I said, oh, well, police are pigs for what they do to all people of color. And, like, one of his friends responded to me. And he liked that comment, so I'm assuming he agreed, that there are no people of color here, that, there are black people. Like, they just own that they're black, capital B, like, that's their identity. I think when I'm speaking generally on my philosophy/political Twitter, I do like the shorthand, but I can also say, too, speaking as a disabled man, if we're talking politically correct, like differently abled, I hate that shit. That's, like, so cringe. I personally prefer the shorthand disabled. I always have. I even cringed recently because I saw somebody use the term handicap, which I used to use, and then a friend, like, explained to me, like, why the community's kind of rejected that, and I kind of saw their way of thinking, and now, like, I can't hear it without cringing.
Right.
So, like, on one hand, guys, like, language obviously matters, right? Like, I'm always going to be respectful when I address anybody, and especially if we're talking about racial issues. Like, if I was talking to, Javaris or Foster, I have talked to people like just Alex about racial issues, and I'm going to say, like, as a black man. I don't think I would say in a one-to-one situation, per person of color, because that would just seem weird. But again, I think if you're using a general platform, I don't blame people for the shorthand.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to think about, like, thinking like, oh, I've got to say this and this. Although sometimes I will do that, to be fair. But I think, again, just when it's more intimate spaces, like, I should have known, being on that friends, because it's a more constricted space, black person or black people is adequate. When it's Twitter, though, and I don't know who's going to see it, people of color is fine. I really think it is like literally how I'll put a nice bow on it is I think it's very context sensitive. It's contextual in the environmental sense, and just like, the nature of the conversation and everything else. I do, again, see some politically correct terms as cringe. Again, what comes to my mind in my community would be differently abled. That's just, like, such a strain. Like, the abilities that are prized by our society, like, are the abilities, like, we just needed to be more accommodating. I'm only differently abled per what my society actually values as abilities. So, disabled's fine because we look at it as a social condition. So yeah, that's just kind of my long-winded answer about it. I'm curious how you'll feel about it, but that's kind of how I came away with it.
Yeah, no, I definitely see the point here. I think that I do agree to a certain point. I think it really is just a matter of people wanting to respect the feelings of others and not really knowing fully how to do that, because it depends on a case-by-case basis. Like, some people might prefer the term people of color. Some might think that it's worse than just calling them blacks. It's like, I think that it really is just a matter of there is no complete homogenous correct way to refer to a person, other than just a person, but then, you're not getting specific enough, right? So I don't know. I don't know if there's really a good solution for it right now. I think we just kind of have to continue having the discussion. And, if you tell me what you want me to call you, I'll call you that. I'm not gonna buck back against it. Like, I know some fucking Republicans are like, no, I don't care if you want to be called this. I'm not calling you that because it's checks notes. Not fun.
Dude, I never understood that. Like, first of all, I think you had the best answer because I just appreciate that people are trying. Yeah. And even with the different label, like, I'm not going to claw your eyes out. I would just maybe tenderly say, like, disabled's fine. Because, just personally hits the earware for me. But these people, like, it's so funny you mentioned
that. I think what would get frustrating, and I'm assuming that you would definitely vouch for me here, is if you're having a conversation with somebody and they call you differently abled and you say, disabled's fine, and they keep calling you differently abled.
Yes. Because, like, it's so funny you mention it about, like, the Republicans, because we see that especially with gender. I just don't understand what the big fucking hubbub is. Like, I even went as far, like, people need to start appreciating, because I know we had, like, old audience members that are like, that's not how the word's spelled, or, whatever. People need to start appreciating the elasticity and the fluidity of language. Because I know, dude, like, there's that one take, right? Like, oh, what in the year, like, 2055, helicopter becomes a gender. And you know what I said to that? Because I actually did tweet about that. So? Like, we don't know where we're going to be in 2055, where there are new social relations set up, where helicopter actually fits in context. We don't know that. Maybe today it would be unconventional to us because we know conventionally what helicopters are standing for. But in this dystopian future that conservatives are imagining, where, guys, oh my God, people have human dignity. No! It's just, it's like, who gives a shit? If somebody unironically told me I identify as a helicopter, I'll be honest, maybe, again, with the conventionalities as they are, I'd be a bit taken aback, but I'd be like, okay, this is so-and-so. They identify as a helicopter. If that was a pertinent part of the conversation, it's whatever. Personally, I'm not for gender abolition because, again, I do think about colonialism and indigenous people where they have, like, the two-spirit, and that's just, like, deeply woven into their culture. But I wouldn't mind,
hell,
like,
even the Spanish language is gendered hard.
Yeah. Like, I would not mind, like, gender neutral, just, like, pronouns, even for me, like, if that's a step we would take. But language changes. Language evolves. Language isn't this thing that you just make it and it's in stasis. I mean, again, you can look at words like stan. I feel like 10 years ago, oh, I stan so-and-so wasn't even a thing. That just wasn't in our lexicon. But look at how it's permeated.
Which is weird because the song stan came out in, what, like 2004 or some shit? It's been around for longer than the word has been being used the way it is now.
Yeah, exactly. But you see the life that it's taken on, that's language, And it's just like, that's the way it's always going to be. I guarantee you guys, by the time next year we have this conversation, who knows the terms that are going to be entering the cultural currency being used and, like, being cataloged in Urban Dictionary and shit, and may even become a part of Merriam-Webster. I know they as, like, a gender-neutral pronoun. I think it was either this year or last year, and everybody lost their fucking shit. How could this happen? What's happening to American society that people are being respected? Like, get the fuck over yourself, dude.
I will say, though, I mean, Alex Foster and Javaris both just said in chat that they hate the term African-American, and I definitely understand that, and I haven't called Black people African Americans in recent years because I'm actually aware of the fact that they do not like being called that because they weren't fucking born in Africa.
Exactly.
They were no more born in Africa than we were because their descendants were, but so are ours.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, just listen to people's personal preferences. It's the same way, like, I got my name changed. If people were still calling me by my old name, like, it's to me essentially the same principle. Right. It's like, this is my new name.
But the difference is it's something that you did. It's something that they can't help.
Exactly. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. I really liked how you answered the question, man. That was really good. And I agree.
Yeah, and also, like, if you're gonna call somebody African American, it's like Kofi Kingston is African American because the dude was literally fucking born in Ghana, West Africa, and they came to America. Like, that's right there. That's an African American. Foster and Javaris are both fucking born and raised in the U.S. They're both just Black Americans.
Exactly. Precisely.
So, all right. I think we can move on from this question now. Hope that we answered it sufficiently for you, Rotten Butter. Third question, though, from Rotten Butter, and the final question. Can ninjas catch you if you're on fire?
I'm gonna say yeah, but it comes at a price, because they'd probably burn themselves too. So I'll say yeah.
Interesting take.
I know, right? I'm never gonna be good at those final round butter questions.
God
damn it!
I feel like the answer is no, but I still want to say yes because, like, if a ninja has been tasked, because ninjas are like assassins, right? They do fucking hit jobs, right? So
Yeah.
if a ninja's been tasked with capturing you alive and you set yourself on fire, I'm pretty sure a ninja's gonna have the skills to put the fire out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say yes, a ninja can still catch you if you're on fire. Third, or that was the third and final question. Next set of questions is from Mark. First up, favorite match and moment from Bayley's title reign.
Favorite match and moment for Bayley's title reign. I'd say this Hell in a Cell match was a great cap off to her title reign. I wish it would have continued to Mania.
Yeah.
But my favorite moment.
Mania.
You know what? I'm gonna say her and Sasha regaining the women's tag titles because Bayley was just freaking out in the celebration. She was even singing Sasha's theme like to Michael Cole in his face, and yeah, Bayley's a delight. Either that or a promo after turning heel on Sasha because I thought that was really good too.
Yeah. So let me just preface this by saying my favorite match from Bayley's title reign was Sasha Hell in a Cell. But since you already said that, I want to kind of throw a little honorable mention out there to the Tamina match because nobody expected it to be as good as it was. And it ended up like, wow. I feel like that was the moment that a lot of people had it click in their head like, holy shit, Bayley's this fucking good.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm going to just give major props to that match. And moment-wise, I feel like she didn't have as many memorable moments as that long reigning of a champion with that great of a talent level and putting out constant great content should have had. Just because it felt like every week she was like cranking out memorable moments and like talking shit with Michael Cole and cutting some great promos and stuff like that. So, is it cheating to say her initial heel turn when she came out with the haircut and slit up all of the Bayley buddies to win the title in the first place?
I wanted to include that, but I wasn't sure for the same reasons you're asking because she wasn't the champion; she won the title, and I think that's a fine distinction there. So.
Oh well, then can we say after she won the title and she started her promo with "Hey, you bitches"?
Yes, that works.
That's my answer, man. That's my answer.
Yeah. I'll definitely give that to you. Yeah.
All right. Second question from Mark: is Bayley the greatest SmackDown Women's Champion to date?
Me personally, with how I've advocated for her, anything less than yes would be disingenuous for me. So absolutely, yes, she is.
Definitely, for sure.
Yeah.
Third question is Bayley. Oh, that was the second question. How long should Sasha Banks' title reign be?
Well, her actual title reign, because I expect her to lose the title pretty quickly and then get her ultimate moment, hopefully at Mania. I would give her a long run, but I would have her turn heel again, like in the middle of it, maybe go even longer. So I'd say, give her a good 8-9 month reign personally.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, to me, I really, really want them to tell a multi-year story with Sasha, where her first hump was beating Bayley at a pay-per-view. She just did that. Her second hump is winning at WrestleMania. She's absolutely never done that. She's like 0-5 at WrestleMania, I want to say. So that's her next hump. And then the third hump is defending a title successfully. So I would say that she should drop the title, her first defense, this time. And when she wins it at Mania, I want her to drop it on her first defense, both of those title reigns, so that she can then win the title back within the year between WrestleManias 37 and 38 and successfully retain it at 38 for the first time ever.
Yeah, definitely.
That's my big thing that I want to happen. So, second question, or fourth question. God, I need to really work on this better. Fourth question from Mark. If Sasha doesn't end up facing Bayley at Mania, who should she face? And he also added beat. So he's obviously assuming that Sasha's going to win at WrestleMania.
If not Bayley, who seems like a really ideal opponent.
I mean, I feel like it's kind of staring us in the face, right? Black Excellence, Bianca Belair.
Yeah, why not? Be a great stage for Bianca. I'm itching for her to finally get a title run, but I mean, a loss at WrestleMania to Sasha would be a hell of a rub anyway.
And so especially because Bianca is, the I would say the vignettes at least were very heelish. even if it felt like she was a face on Friday. I feel like the vignettes were very heelish, and there's still enough time that she could be a heel by WrestleMania, and Sasha's very clearly going to be a face as long as she's champion.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's pretty much a perfect fit, hand in the glove. Fifth and final question from Mark. Has Hell in a Cell lost its meaning?
I would say it regained a little bit of it this year, but yeah, for the most part it has. It definitely has, I think.
You know what, dude? I see why you said that, because the matches this year were so great. But the very fact that I just said matches is exactly why I'm going to say that yes, it has. Because there is an oversaturation right now of Hell in a Cell matches. We're averaging 3 per year at this point, or at least like 2.5 per year at this point on average. I would like to go back to when Hell in a Cell matches weren't even a yearly thing. I want Hell in a Cell matches to happen once every few years. Have it be the big deal that it was supposed to be, so that when there's this fucking heated blood feud going on between two people that just absolutely despise each other, it's not, oh, well, Hell in a Cell's next month, so that's going to be what that is. It's like, oh my God, what's the stipulation going to be? Is it going to be I quit? Is it going to be Falls Count Anywhere? Is it going to be Last Man Standing? Is it going to be Hell in a Cell? I want to be able to add that into the little, like, what the hell's it going to be kind of thing when we are speculating what a big match stipulation is going to be. Because right now, we know it's not going to be a Hell in a Cell match unless it's happening at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. So I would definitely say that, yes, it has lost all meaning. And I think that the way to bring its meaning back is to abolish the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view altogether, and maybe not even do a Hell in a Cell match for like 3 years, so that when you do finally bring it back one time for one show in a year, it's a huge deal and you get a big pop out of it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you 1,000%.
That's my big thing with wrestling. I feel like the secret to good wrestling is manufactured scarcity. The more you hold something back without, holding it back to the point that someone's like, fuck you, I'm not even going to try and see it anymore. The more you hold something back, though, the more people want it. And the more people want it, the bigger of a reaction and the more of a positive response you're going to get when you finally give it to them.
Exactly. I think that's psychology 101 in the wrestling business. Absolutely.
Okay, so we got 5 questions from Sal, but we can't actually really answer them. So really, I'm just going to brush over all of this and call it one question. So really, we only had like 39 this month. So his first 3 questions were watch Infinity Train seasons 1 through 3. His 4th question was, what did y'all think of Infinity Train so far? And then his final question was, contribute to #RenewInfinityTrain trending on Twitter. And then he added at the very end of all that, sorry, I just really love Infinity Train.
I never would have guessed. I've heard really good things about the show, but I've never watched it. Then again, Sal, I still haven't watched the newer episodes, and by newer, I mean when they first came out, all those years ago, episodes of Samurai Jack, and I'm an actual genuine fan of that series. So I'm just the worst, is essentially the summary.
Yeah, I know John and I are planning on watching Jendi Tartakovsky's Primal, the second half of season 1, at some point in the next week or two. I'm guessing we're probably going to end up watching Infinity Train right around that same time. So we'll make sure to watch Infinity Train before the next Q&A so that you can actually ask us questions about it by then.
Yeah, that sounds good. I agree with that. Next set of questions?
Yeah. All right. So the next set of questions, it's actually our final set of questions from Alex Foster. First up, what advice would you give to people with up-and-coming YouTube channels? Not like I need it or anything.
God, really I consider TWitWoW like Ashton's project because he handles a lot of the technical stuff. When I was starting out as Pacifist, a chapter that I am so glad to have been not only done with but far removed from, I just think, Foster, you got to trust in what you've got at the time, because I didn't have a fancy webcam or even recording equipment. You've got to I think it more comes down to you, because I really do believe that you're the product, right? Everything else is just the packaging. How are you packaging you? What visuals do you got? What audio equipment do you got? But even if it's shit, if you're sincere, if your opinions resonate with people, because no amount of sleek visuals or whatever can, cover that up, right? And really just the grind. I mean, just uploading regularly so that you kind of, show up in those search results when people are searching for particular tags and this and that. I think networking is really big. One of the big things I did was I wasn't afraid to go after, and I have the same mentality with philosophy, by the way. I think you could copy paste this for a lot of stuff. I wasn't afraid to go to Spinnernet when he was the big guy at the time when I was coming up, and being like, hey, can you check out my video and give me a few pointers? And if you really like my stuff, if you'd be inclined to, plug me, I'd really appreciate it. Don't be afraid to talk to people, I think, is the big thing. Even the people that are like 20 times bigger than you, because either A, they're going to ignore you, B, they will answer you and they could, maybe be cruel or just say no, or C, they answer you, they genuinely take the time to look at you and stuff, without the caveat of, oh, sure, I'll watch your video if you donate $30 to my PayPal or whatever. And, you begin networking, you begin really, new relationships, and I think you pick up new techniques that way. I think people really undervalue, this is probably the most capitalist I'm ever going to sound, but I really do believe people, like, sorely undervalue the power of networking, of just going to people, nonstop talking to people, knocking on those doors, metaphorically speaking, and just connecting with people. You're never going to get anywhere until you're like, hey, can you look at this? Or if you found like a wrestling forum, since we're talking about wrestling, and you just share your video so long as you're permitted to do that in a particular thread. Don't be afraid to pursue an audience, because if you're waiting for an audience to come to you, I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but it's probably not going to happen as at fast a rate, if I can speak, as you'd like it to. So I think the biggest advice is trust in what you've got. Don't be down on yourself for what you don't have relative to the other big streamers. Just know that you're the brand, so you're really marketing yourself with how you treat people and how you come off. Like you're the proverbial product first and foremost. And do not be afraid to network. Just do not be shy about being like, oh God, this person's a wrestling YouTuber for like 10 years and they have 30,000 subs. What are they going to say? Worst is either no response or a no. Best thing you get is they genuinely look at you and they give you some feedback. So yeah, network is my big thing. Any advice you want to give?
Well, I was literally just getting ready to praise you and say how much of a perfect answer you gave, and really how, like, I think your method that you just kind of recommended is the absolute optimal method and the best way to kind of maintain a healthy balance between growing your audience, but also staying yourself and being able to continue to enjoy your work and being able to continue to connect with your audience. But I was ready to split off in two different directions. I was ready to say, I'm going to take, like, you gave the right, correct middle response. I'm going to go to each extreme, right? So the first extreme is, if you only care about growing your audience, if you only care about turning YouTube into a career, if you really want to start making money off YouTube and you want to make good money and you want it to eventually be able to support you and be able to live off of it, you need to get aggressive. Like, you need to, I mean, dude, John, you literally just said, like, don't buy into it. If some big YouTuber says, I'll plug you for $30, if you really want to grow, you'll pay them the $30 and they'll fucking endorse you and you'll get a big bump out of it. So, like, spend your money on advertising on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, tweet your ass off. And I don't just mean, when I say tweet your ass off, I don't just mean tweet plugging like your own videos. Literally interact with people in the community that you want to see your videos. Interact with them a lot. Get to be well known in that community. Maybe even, if you work at it hard enough and long enough, become a figurehead of that community, so that is an already established audience that you can then basically kind of engulf or, like, absorb into your fan base. You can also kind of comment on other people's videos and say, like, oh, you have to actually watch their videos, because if you just go on someone else's video and be like, oh, hey, this is a great video, you should check out my stuff, they're gonna fucking block you really quickly. But if you genuinely engage and you're just like, you like make, like, you use like timestamps and you make comments on what they had to say, and then maybe you just throw in like a little, I think I'm gonna make a video about this, you should check it out sometime, at the end of it. It won't be an immediate red flag of like, okay, this motherfucker's trying to advertise on my channel, fuck him. It'll be like, oh, they really watch it, they're a real fan, I should check their stuff out. And if they check your stuff out and they like it, they'll probably mention you at some point and plug you. So, and then even if, if you find out that they do like you, if they start commenting on your shit, maybe that's when you crawl into their DMs and say, hey, if you like my stuff, you have way more subscribers than me, could you by any chance plug me? I'll pay you. That kind of thing. Like, there are legitimately, and of course there's the algorithm. I would say definitely make sure that you use face cam with a really good camera. And really, there are phone cameras out right now that are fucking amazing. And a really good quality mic to make sure that there isn't like white noise, make sure that there isn't like wind and noise being picked up in the background and stuff like that. John always likes to talk about his pop filter that he used to have on his. He might even still have it. So use a pop filter, stuff like that. High quality, I would say clickbaity thumbnails for sure. You got a big, bold words on the thumbnail that get people's attention. Shit like really hyperbolic stuff too. Like if you're making a wrestling related video, and say you're making a video about the Vince McMahon taking over social media, say something like WWE equals fascist corporation or something crazy like that, even though that's actually true, but like use the most extreme language possible to draw people in. Because here's the thing, if people agree with the point that's on the thumbnail, they'll click on it to see what you have to say. But more importantly, if you put out a really bold take in a thumbnail that people disagree with, you're going to get even more traffic, because people are going to be like, what the fuck's wrong with this motherfucker? I hate him. I have to click on this video to see what he actually said. And you might get, a bunch of people that just show up and click dislike and then leave. But you'll also get a lot more engagement, because that's the thing, is the algorithm says dislikes are just as important as likes, because it's engagement, and engagement is good engagement as far as the algorithm is concerned. So if all you're concerned about is growing your channel, those are the ways that I would recommend. If you don't care about growth and you really just care about being able to get your views out there and grow like a tight-knit, friendly community, kind of like what we have done, literally just be yourself. Like, you don't really have to put that much effort into it. I mean, obviously, if you take pride in the way that your thumbnails look, put effort into those. If you really take pride in your audio quality or whatever, you can do that. If you want people to be able to engage with you directly and you want them to be able to see your face and you want to be able to emote with your face, then do face cam. Basically just do whatever the fuck you want. And like, I really think, and really there's even a part of what I recommended for the, like, just caring about growth path that works for this too. Engage the community. Because if it's not an overly toxic community and your mental health isn't going to be harmed by engaging it, engage the shit out of it. Get into the discussions, because then you will become a known figure in that community. And when you're a known figure in a community, it's really easy to just post a link to a video that you made and get a shit ton of hits off of it. It's so easy. Like, John, even you can vouch for me. When we used to be really active in Pweetoff, our viewership was really good, because we'd be able to post a video on Pweetoff and we would get like 20 or 30 more views than we normally would otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like, just engaging, and especially if it's like a bigger community, just engaging sometimes and becoming a part of a community and really having those discussions is enough to be able to get people familiar with you, maybe even get some people to like you, get them to look further into you, and that's how they'll find your YouTube channel. And that to me is kind of the growth rate that we have focused on, because we haven't really reached out to anyone. We haven't really asked anyone to plug us. We've still gotten plugged by some people. I know that Alex has plugged us a few times. He's plugged us plenty of times, actually, so props to him. Lucha fucking Underground plugged us on their show. I forget Tyler Williams plugged us at one point. Like, we've gotten plugged by much bigger outlets than we are, and we have never asked for it in our lives. We've literally never gone to someone and been like, hey, could you maybe, I don't know, give us a shout out on your show or something? Like, no, we've never made any effort to get somebody to say our name, and yet it still happened because we just have made fans of people that are more popular than us. So you could do that exact same thing, Foster. And hell, even if we're talking about like us, like right now, I'm imagining we're probably a little bit bigger than you. And if you put out content that we like, we'll probably plug you too, man. We got your back, bro.
Absolutely. And I really actually want to add one more thing, because you said something that caught my ear. This is where I have to give Ashton a lot of credit, where I say, like, he really spearheads a lot of the TWitWoW. Like, he can even vouch for me. Like, I really do leave the final decision of what content we cover or not to him. And that, I always will be expressive about my opinion. Like, if he changed his mind and he wanted to do full gear, brother, I'd be like, okay.
You'd protest.
I would protest, but I would go along with it if you wanted to. Like, if you were really like, no, I think we should, I'd be like, okay. I always defer to him at the end of the line, unless I'm like really like, no, dude, that's not gonna, work for whatever reason. Where I give him credit is he's always not afraid to do something different, because he was the one that really pushed for us to do Lucha Underground reviews. I thought at first it was just going to be this cute little show, whatever. He's like, no, dude, this looks interesting. I think we should get on this. And because we were one of the first people to review it, and I would argue to this day, still one of the best people that have ever reviewed that show in its tenure, it got the notice of the creators. You can find the interview we did with the guys, Roach and Joseph, on our YouTube channel. So I think that's another thing too that I think Ashton really exemplifies. Like if he
and that's
sees
another
something
example
different-
too of like we didn't reach out to them; they reached out to us. Like we're this shitty little YouTube channel with like 1,500 subscribers, and they're on not a major network, but they're on a television network getting like 200,000 viewers a week. 150 to 200,000 viewers a week. They plugged us. They came for us. They reached out to us. We didn't even like. They literally started like responding to our tweets, and I was ignoring them because I didn't know who the fuck they were. They had to literally crawl into the DMs and be like, "Hey, we're the executive producers of Lucha Underground. You should follow us back so we can DM." And be like, "Oh my god, what the hell? This is insane." And that's like it was like a budding relationship that we didn't have any expectation to ever have. It came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and that could have very easily gone to another channel if, like, we were just like, nah, we're not going to.
It did go to plenty of other people. Like, we weren't the only ones that they reached out to. They were very obviously it was an active, an intentional movement to try and get more people talking about Lucha Underground, and it worked. I mean, the thing is, we would have talked about Lucha Underground regardless. So they had us either way, but I think that them reaching out kept them more in our good graces than if they hadn't.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. I guess what I should really say is we were able to get a share of that goodwill because Ashton wanted us to take the leap and cover it. I think that's one of the best decisions he made for the channel and that I went along with. Because again, I'm always more like, it's just starting out. I think I even said, let's wait a few episodes. He didn't even want to wait like 3 episodes. He's like, no, I think if we really get on this now, literally get on the ground level, that'll be it. And that was a great call by him.
I was going to say that might be the best decision that we've ever made because I feel like maybe 70% of our audience found us through Lucha Underground.
Yeah. So all this is to say, Foster, is that like if you see something that you're interested in that maybe not is well known, don't worry about because what's unknown today or what's novel today becomes conventional tomorrow, and don't be afraid to like play in that novelty. Yeah. So, yeah, that's just something I wanted to add on when you were going on. But I loved your answer, too, man. I think we both gave really good answers to this question. So I'm good to move on to the next question.
All right. Second question from Foster. What do you think will be the next wrestlers you guys turn around on? Like you go from disliking them to liking them.
I'm sorry, I was paying attention to chat. Can you read the first part of that question again?
Who do you think will be the next wrestler or wrestlers that you guys turn around on as far as you going from disliking them to liking them?
I mean, it's a shame that we didn't do Q&A earlier because I would have said Taichi. I feel like that happened with Taichi in the G1 for me.
Yeah.
Next wrestler to turn around on.
I mean, I kind of already gave this away for me. It's probably MJF.
For me, probably Jungle Kiona. Like, I really don't like Jungle Kiona in Stardom. Like, I think the character makes really poor decisions. I think she's a solid worker, but, like, the character I'm just not really vibing with. Right. But hopefully she does recover. Like, obviously, as a human being, you want them to recover. You want them to keep doing what they do. And if she's able to make a comeback, which I'm really hoping she is, I could see myself turning around on her because she's really starting at square one again. I mean, losing her faction, losing her friend at Konami, having the injury. When she comes back, it's not like she's going to be a rookie or anything, but she's really going to have to start over. Yeah. And I think starting over, I really will be able to like her. So I'm going to say Jungle Kiona, personally.
That's fair. Next question, third question from Foster. What would your Firefly Funhouse characters be?
Mine would definitely be very nerdy with the whole philosophy thing. Maybe like, I don't know.
John's a raven.
Parchment or something. Beg pardon?
You're a raven.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Or maybe crow would be more. I'm thinking of like the most intelligent animals relative to their size that there are in the animal kingdom, and like the Corvus genus is like right up there.
Either that, or maybe they'd make like a Velociraptor puppet, just but literally like yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, that's great. God, what would I be? I feel like, man, I kind of had a thought of like maybe like a bull because I'm like really big and I'm strong and I'm also like kind of clumsy and there's like that bull in a china shop kind of factor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe I would be like a bull or something like that. Maybe a bear. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think Do you have any suggestions for me? Because I had a few that I thought of for you, but I really love the Velociraptor one.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, man. Because I know you. Trying to think if there's like a dinosaur parallel to you. Because I know you're like.
But you're already a dinosaur, though.
Wait. Say that again.
I said, but you're already a dinosaur, though.
But we could both be dinosaurs, you know, just like.
I mean, yeah, we would show up together at the same time. We would be like the Dino Bros, the Dine Bros.
Yeah, there you go. That works. Yeah, I don't really
Well,
know.
I mean, dude, since you're a Velociraptor, because it's Velociraptor.
Yeah.
Maybe I could be like another bigger raptor, and we could be like, you know, we're both raptors, but I'm the bigger one, you're the little one, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that could work. I'd like that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm kind of struggling. Because also, it doesn't necessarily have to be animals, because we do have Abby, who's a witch.
That's true, yeah.
I don't know.
You're the philosopher, I'm like the analyst, right? Or the engineer or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
engineer, I like that. That's sleek. The engineer. You come in, I don't know. And oh my god, you come in and maybe you would be like the analyst and instead of the engineer, and you'd come in with a chart. Perfect. Just be like, you know, how's Firefly Funhouse viewership doing? Well, if you look at the chart, but then we just need, like, how is that embodied? How is an analyst embodied in puppet form?
Yeah.
I don't know.
God.
Maybe you are just a chart as the puppet. You know, maybe
it's not no! I don't want to be the whole chart. I still want to be in control of the chart. It can't take over me.
No, what's the chart doing? This wasn't supposed to happen until the fourth quarter. No! I don't know.
I control the chart, not the other way around.
No! So how is that embodied? Damn.
What's the most, like, geometric animal?
I'm actually going to type geometric animal into Google, and I'm kind of scared what shows up. All right, hold on.
Maybe a starfish, but I'm the statfish?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Like, you can physically see that I'm the starfish, but I'm called the statfish because I'm always quoting statistics and shit. Not crime statistics, mind you, because those are ignorant as fuck, but, like, actual real statistics that are helpful.
And I don't know if you'd like this, but for me, I can just picture your backstory being like Vince giving you away because he didn't like the stats you were showing him. Because obviously he wants to stay in his own little world. Yeah. So, like, then you come to Bray's Firefly Funhouse where, like, you do stats for him and shit. That's perfect.
All right, that works. Fourth question from Foster. What other places should Postman Pierce travel to? What?
Oh, when he was, like, delivering the contract, like, Postman Pierce was Firefly Funhouse for that whole, like, payback triple threat or whatever.
Adam Pierce. Wow.
Yeah.
No clue what you were talking about.
That's why it takes two, baby. God. See, and it's funny that we just got done talking about Lucha Underground because I wish Lucha Underground was still a thing because I would have said, I don't know, Dario Cueto's office. Katrina and Mil Muertes' I don't know if you want to call it a hideout or whatever, you know, where they, like, get him ready. Suzuki's hideout. I'd love to see Postman Pierce go there with Suzuki.
Do you mean the fucking Yakuza headquarters? Because it's the place.
Yeah. So Yakuza headquarters. I don't really know where else because like WWE really doesn't inspire me like as much. Maybe I don't know. Maybe the New Day podcast to like I don't know.
How about the Loomis house from last night?
Loomis house would be great. Loomis house. Dario Cueto's office. I will say that because he said, "Where would you want him to go?" So I guess it could be anywhere. Fuck it, it still exists in some universe. Again, the New Day pod, maybe crash that, have a bowl of videos.
The Wrestle House in Impact.
There you go, Wrestle House. Yeah, I think that's sufficient answers, and you kind of helped me with some. So do you have any more you want to give, or do you want to just move on? We can kind of look at that as
I contributed. Let's finish this thing out. Our final question of the entire Q&A. What are some video game / anime characters that you love, but couldn't be friends with if they were real?
Oh, Light Yagami, easily. Like, he'd use me up, and then he'd write my name in his death note But like, I love watching that man.
Dude, please. You can't even say he'd use you up. You wouldn't give him the opportunity to. You would be so fucking sick of his shit after 3 days.
I mean, would I try and steal the Death Note and gain ultimate power? Yes. Am I potentially a bigger sociopath than he is? Yes. I don't know where I was going with this, but needless to say that you're right. Let's see what else. Good God, man. These podcasts are really going to come back and bite me in the ass one day. I just know it. I'm going to be like petitioning for some philosophy position, and they're going to be like, Mr. Altman, are you a self-professed sociopath? That's insane. Who would be a self-professed sociopath? Oh, well, let's just go to Q&A number 52 from October 29th. Fuck!
No!
Like, I don't have to worry about anybody canceling me because I cancel myself every time this mic actually fucking works. So yeah, like Yagami. Oh yeah, you know, it's funny, Foster, that you're like, you mentioned Rock Lee from Naruto, because I would say any protagonist of any anime, it's like, I get it, you overcome the odds.
Yeah, I was gonna, like, even Javaris just brought up Goku and Vegeta, and like, I don't want to hang out with either one of you. Fuck you both.
I mean, well, here's the thing. Goku pre-super, maybe, because he seems like a genuinely good-hearted dude, even though at times he would jeopardize the planet. Seriously, Javaris, I was actually thinking about this the other night with you in chat. You and I need to talk about, like, because I was watching the scene where Gohan kills Cell, and I'm sorry for this tangent, I just need to get this off my chest. And, like, he like, and I'm speaking to Javaris, because if anybody can understand just, like, my rage and my being flummoxed, it's him. Like, Gohan was down one arm because he saved Vegeta, because Cell was really powered up. Now, granted, he was powered up after taking the instant transmission and surviving self-destructing, so we can't blame that on the senzu bean, right? But what we can blame on just the laissez-faire attitude of, like, I just want to fight really strong people. He could have won that. Cell could have won the Kamehameha struggle. In fact, he would have if Vegeta didn't intervene. So, like, if you're Goku, how are you looking at this and being like, yeah, I made good choices. I like, you know, I could have just finished him off, but whatever. Like, you realized you really came close this time to fucking the planet, right? Like really close. And then with Boo, it actually happened, but I'll give them more slack, because I don't even know how you would have killed him. I mean, they did ultimately find a way, but he was just so fucking OP. But I'm just watching that clip again, and I'm like, yeah, you really let this ride just so that you could be stronger. Like, you really let this ride just so you can be like, man, that was a really tough creature. I wonder what else is out there, which you would have said regardless. You're genuinely terrible people. Like legitimately, you are awful people. And for me to say that after what I just got done confessing on a live hot mic, holy fuck. So yeah, pre-super, maybe, but I am not joining you for any fucking battles, like, at all.
And frankly, like, every time he goes out for a battle, you might just be hoping that he doesn't make it back.
I mean, I wasn't gonna say it, but yes. That couldn't hang out with in real life, so that I love and I mean, Lelouch v. Britannia from Code Geass, my favorite anime of all time. Love the dude, love the scheming. I'd probably even want to be in the war room with him to plan, but he's done some shady shit. I mean, for good reasons, but he's done some shady shit. I would not want to be cannon fodder for his revolution, so I always feel like if I was hanging out with him, I'm always thinking, like, am I a pawn today, or am I a trusted comrade? And you don't want to live with that kind of anxiety. And you know what? I think
I have one
here. Sure, go ahead.
Ed from the Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh, perfect.
I wouldn't be able to hang out with him because I'm like 6'6", and I would not be able to find a way to not bring up his height, and he hates that. And
yeah.
I'm fully aware of the fact that he would hate me too for that very reason, but I wouldn't be able to hang out with him because of that.
Exactly. I like that answer. That's a really clever answer. Oh God, you know what, Foster? You mentioned Pokemon. I think he mentioned Pokemon. Yeah, he did. Or
yeah.
For Pokemon.
Yeah.
Fucking go from Pokemon, like Journey. That would not Journeys.
Fuck that dude.
Yeah, like everything. Like, here's the problem, and I'm just gonna be forthright with everybody. That dude would exacerbate the fuck out of my inferiority complex. Like, everything comes so easy to that dude. Here I am trying to do things in philosophy.
I just imagine John out in a field trying to throw a Pokeball at a goddamn Metapod, and it pops free, and in comes Go, and he's just like, hey John, I just caught this Zapdos with my first Pokeball. What are you up to?
And then, especially if he was that excited about it, I'd be like, come here, let me show you something. And I would do to him what Joe did to that one guy when he was a Girl Scout.
You would go over and physically grab the Metapod that you had been trying to capture, and it's hard as a rock right now because it's been using Cardin for the last 18 fucking hours, and now you just swing it at him like a baseball bat.
Let me tell you something, brother. After I just got done bludgeoning his brains that I would scoop up with one of his spare Pokeballs, that Metapod wouldn't be the only thing rock hard. Okay? I'm just letting you fucking know that right now. Fuck go. That
this
piece
was
of
the
shit.
Correct question to close the Q&A on.
Actually, can I ask a weird question that, like,
Please.
I'm probably again gonna regret that I have a hot mic right now. What's the male equivalent of Mary Sue, or is that just like an all-encompassing thing?
Gary Stu. I think Gary Stu.
Gary Stu, he's such a goddamn Gary Stu. Like, yeah, I'd beat the shit out of him. And then when the parents were like, I hope his Pokemon journey's going okay, I would just maniacally laugh and throw the Pokeball brain matter. I choose you, and just laugh to myself in a field. And then when Oak comes upon me, like he is a scientist, so I'll put two and two together. He'll be like, my God, I've never seen anything so awful. And yeah, I would definitely go to jail. I don't know. Is her name Officer Jenny? It's Officer Jenny, yeah, because the nurse is Joy. Yeah, Officer Jenny wouldn't be too kind to me. Oh my God. Yeah, so that's my closing remarks. But yeah, that's Q&A. Holy shit, it's only a little after 9:30. I am so proud of us.
You even said we might not even go that much over 2.5 hours, and here we are. Oh my God.
Oh my God, this is what it's like to be you, by which I mean so fucking right. I feel good. I feel good about what we just did.
Does Darkness from Konosuba also count, just because of all the horny jail visits?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay.
I'd say so.
That's my other answer then. I already gave my actual reasonable, like, couldn't hang out in real life for that reason kind of answer. And this is my silly answer is, Darkness.
Yeah, there you go.
And the thing is, it wouldn't even be me going to horny jail. It would definitely be her.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I feel like you and I would have to hang out with her at the same time, and then she just really wouldn't be able to handle all of that horrible humor.
No.
She just wouldn't.
No.
She'd just collapse. She might even have to make a few visits to her own room.
Yeah, oh, for sure, brother, for sure. Okay, that's it, guys. That was Q&A. I know usually for these, like, I kind of outro and then I hand over to Ashton, so real quick, leave a like as you file out. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you for all the wonderful questions this month. That went by really briskly. I'm very pleasantly surprised, actually. Subscribe, click the bell icon for notifications so you never again miss any of that TWitWoW goodness. You know everything that we're part of. I'm going to say right away, and I've started doing this now, and I'm really glad that I have, because I know there was like one Q&A where I didn't make the pin tweet until really late. The pin tweet is already up. Next Q&A is Thursday, November 26th. So get your questions in, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Discord. Reminder, as we roll over in next month, Patreon donors get up to 5 Q&A questions, and it only costs $1. Not to be confused with Discord access, which is $3. So if you want 5 questions for Q&A, just donate $1 to the Patreon. I'm guessing, Ashton, correct me if I'm wrong, if they would donate even now, it would carry over in the next month, and they'd be able to do 5 questions, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so there you go. So yeah, if you want to and you haven't gotten to do it yet, please consider, donating and getting in on those 5 questions. I think it's a great experience. I think the people that had those 5 questions used them very well. And yeah, just get in on the fun. Obviously, pin tweet, like I said, you guys can reply to that pin tweet. It's up right now. It's actually been up. I did it very early in the Q&A. So if you've got any questions, please feel free to ask them when we adjourn here. And I really can't think of anything else except to say that even though it feels like Friday today, I'm probably alone in that.
Dude, I feel that too. We are way too much on the same wavelength. That is wild.
I know, right? Tomorrow is actually Friday, and at 5, we're going to be covering the Stardom 1025 show. Yes, that's right. Start it! So that's going to be at 5, and I think that's our only commentary for the day and for the rest of, like, the week there until we begin, next week, next Monday, which I think would be November 2nd. And then, that'll be a whole new slate for us to talk about. So, yeah, Friday at 5, join us for Stardom. We'll see you there. I'm going to hand it over to Ashton to take us home.
Excellent, ladies and gentlemen. We hope that you all enjoyed the Q&A this month. I believe I actually just saw Kirby Freeman already got his questions in for next month. He was the first person by quite a distance. But if you did enjoy, of course, like the video, subscribe, click the bell. Ask questions for next month, too. If you're not on Twitter or in the Discord, you can just leave a comment below. It's fine. You don't have to, you don't have to reach out on social media if that's not your thing. That's perfectly understandable. It's all good. Leave a comment down below. If you're here, you probably already have a YouTube account. You can just comment down below. It's not a big deal. If you are on Twitter, though, you can reply to John's pinned tweet. And if you're really into the TWitWoW verse and you are already a patron, or if you would like to become a patron, the link is in the description. You can join our Patreon. We will add you into the Discord if you donate $3 or more. And even if you don't, if you donate anything, even as low as $1, you get 5 questions for next month. John, did you say what the date was for our next Q&A?
I did, brother, but just to reiterate, since you asked, it is November 26th, the final Thursday of the month. So, yeah.
Because I distinctly remember, I'm pretty sure the last day of the year is the last Thursday. It's a Thursday. Yeah, it's 31st of December is literally a Thursday. New Year's Eve is a Thursday, so we're going to be doing a Q&A on New Year's Eve. It's going to be incredible. I hope that you're all looking forward to that too. But all that being said, I do hope that you get your questions in. If you're interested in supporting us, there are plenty of ways to do that. You can follow us and subscribe on Twitch. You can buy our merch on Teespring. You can donate to the Patreon, like I already mentioned. You can also just share this channel and this video with all your wrestling fan friends and let them in on the best kept secret in the YouTube and Twitch wrestling communities. We are TWitWoW, and we are the workhorses of the Y and TWCs, and we will continue to work to prove that moniker true with our continued coverage of Stardom, which we'll be doing tomorrow, New Japan, which I think is coming in like a couple weeks, and NXT, and occasionally maybe AEW, but more likely not so much anymore, and also the occasional WWE pay-per-view as well. So we hope that you are all able to check out our Stardom coverage tomorrow. I actually don't know when our next show is going to be. I think we might be doing another Stardom show next Monday. We know we'll be reviewing NXT next Wednesday, but other than that, it's kind of up in the air. Next Friday night at 11 p.m., we will be going live to live react to the Wrestle Princess show from TJPW. That's going to be a lot of fun. That's a stacked show. That is hands down their most stacked show in like 9 or 10 months at that point, because I think the last show that they put out that was that stacked was January 4th, the same day as Wrestle Kingdom and a bunch of other big shows. So definitely be tuned for that, and I think that's about it. So we hope that you're all able to check all that content out. Lots of variety. We're really adding a lot of Joshi to the channel, and we hope that you all enjoy it. And most importantly, we just hope that you're all able to remember to stay tuned.